We stopped at a light and saw him walking in that field behind the Lost River Drive-In. Julie said he was so creepy.
Hey, Cody, I was just thinking when that was playing, I was like, I didn't do a little like special intro this time. I did that last time. I was like, we'll throw Cody's intro in there with mine. I didn't do it. So I apologize to let you down there, man. It's just my same boring ass
Anyway,
intro.
guys, it was fun seeing you.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? As you know, I said a couple days ago I was going to have Cody back on here and we were going to chat. And I gave everybody a couple topics. Hey, do you want us to talk about this or that? And most people said, why don't you guys just talk? And I was like, you know what? We'll just talk. So Cody, I'm here to grill you today. We're going to lay it bare. Why, first and foremost, Cody, everybody wants to know, why are you so terrible? Apparently, that's been making the rounds. No. But how you doing, man? How you been?
Busy, man, busy. It's been a rough couple of months. YouTube views and viewership and everything like that has been down pretty much across the board. So I think all creators are kind of their assholes are puckering a little bit right now. And so that mixed with, I went to South by Southwest, so I kind of had to take about a week off from just, going a mile a minute over there. Came back, was sick as hell for like a week. So I was already kind of below the curve because of the quarter one type of views and ad revenue for YouTube, and then trying to play catch up on all that. And there's not really any big like marquee movies out. Like Scream 7 was kind of it until I'm hoping May, when you're going to get like Obsession and a few of these more higher hyped horror films, but we'll see. So just been trying to figure out topics to talk about and things to do to kind of keep the channel going and keep conversation going. And sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes it's an absolute pain in the ass to sit down on the computer and be like, what the hell do I talk about today?
Yeah, dude. Yeah. And I actually was going to say, I saw the other day, if I'm not mistaken, you dipped your toe. You were like, you know what? We're going to talk some Disney movies. And I was like, oh shit, that comment section is probably a minefield. Was it a minefield?
It wasn't too bad when I did my little Disney Channel Mount Rushmore thing.
Yeah.
So like, I haven't, I've never shied away from being like a true, 90s kid. And so I've talked about it in the past. I've done a couple of videos, offshoots talking about childhood movies, but that was one that I just saw making the rounds on social media. I probably should have jumped on it earlier. Where that was one of those days where I'm like, what the hell do I talk about? And I just scrolled past that and I'm like, fuck it. Let's just talk about this. Let's go off brand a little bit. The most popular, because it was like right before April Fool's, the most popular comment was like, I thought this was an April Fool's joke till I looked at the calendar. So sometimes I like keeping people on their toes.
I respect it. Yeah, that's one thing about your channel that has kept me watching for years, is that I don't feel like you've ever pigeonholed yourself into like one specific thing. And I commend you for that, because, you get, sometimes you want to talk about some stuff and you're like, I don't know if this is going to resonate with my audience at all. I've talked about this before. Something I adore is Star Wars. I mean, I've loved Star Wars since I was a little kid, and it's just something I don't talk about on YouTube because, one, I mean, come on, you talk about Star Wars these days, you're just asking for a minefield in the comment section. But two, it's just like, you don't know if it's going to really resonate with the audience. So kudos to you for doing that, because again, though, every time I see a Disney logo these days, I'm like, oh shit. Like, you already know there's people in the comment section like, cancel Disney sucks. Like, I'm like, man, all right, good for him. So I'm glad to hear it wasn't too crazy.
No, it wasn't. I was throwing back to the days before all of that too, where I think everybody can kind of go for whatever era of Disney Channel they grew up in, and it's before all of that anti-corporate kind of bullshit that everybody talks about with Disney nowadays. So it was fun.
Well, I mean, just real quick, I gotta imagine, being a 90s kid, you've got to have some love for Halloween Town, right? Like, it's got to be there.
Oh yeah. If I was ever to do like a ranking of Disney Channel original movies, and I would put the chances of that happening at some point pretty high. That would at least make top 5. I'd be surprised if it wasn't top 5. Like, I'm a Johnny Tsunami guy, and Brink, and Halloween Town and Smart House, and those are probably my top 5 just rattling off my head. Horse Sense, that's another one I should put in there. But yeah, that mid 90s to like maybe 2003 is really where my bread and butter was and where all the best movies were. And then after that, I kind of fell off when it was Hannah Montana Town and
Yeah.
High School Musical and all that. I don't know anything about any of that shit.
You didn't miss out. I never
Mhm.
watched Hannah Montana myself, but I remember the High School Musical craze when I was a teenager, and I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
"Hey, I don't get it." But I mean, I loved Grease growing up, though. That's one of my favorite movies ever. So I wasn't like anti-musical, but like that kind of musical, like I don't know, that wasn't really my vibe. But I do remember Halloween Town was huge. I mean, I remember growing up, that was something we watched as a family like every year. And I remember when Return to Halloween Town, the 4th one got announced, and I couldn't wait to get home from school the day that it was coming out. And I don't know if I just wasn't perusing the internet much those days or whatever, but I didn't realize that they had recast Marnie. And so I get home and I watch it, and the whole time I'm pissed because it's not the same girl as Marnie. Uh, oh, dude, that's killer.
Just to legitimize myself.
Holy shit.
Right behind Halloween 3.
Sealed and everything. Damn. Did you get that online?
Yeah, I think I might have got it on Amazon. And whenever it was close to Halloween season, I ordered this and the Goosebumps soundtrack and a bunch of other like millennial shit that I was just kind of playing just to have vibes throughout the house. But yeah, I have actually never watched that one where they recasted Marnie, whatever the
It
4th one
sucks.
is.
It's really bad.
There's certain places where fans just like they're like, I'm out. I'm sorry. Like, you did the one thing that lost me. It might be better than 3. It might be better than 2 on a narrative level, but if she's not there, I'm not there.
No, it sucks. And quite frankly, my introduction to that actress, her name is escaping me. Kimberly Brown?
Kimberly J. Brown.
Kimberly J. Brown, yes. My introduction to her was Rose Red.
Oh
And
yeah, I remember seeing Rose Red with my grandparents. I was staying the night with them, and they were watching that, and I was like, "That's Marnie."
Yeah, and that's a miniseries, I guess. But like a story, I would love to see get a modern adaptation.
Mhm.
I haven't watched that miniseries in probably 15 years, but I remember that scared the shit out of me, dude. Like,
Yeah, it's pretty solid. It's definitely got moments for a TV movie. I remember the only thing I remember like not liking about that is there's like a nerdy guy in there who's like a little over the top. But other than that, I remember it being pretty fun.
yeah, Stephen King's a pizza delivery guy. I do remember that.
As
But
he is.
so you said you just recently got back from South by Southwest?
Yeah, it was like 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. It feels like forever ago with the sickness and everything like that I had afterwards. But it was like second week of March to third week of March, something like that.
And how was that? I mean, I know that's not your first time going, right? You've been before.
It's my second year. I went last year for the first time. Yeah, I had a good time. South by is a lot of fun. It's exhausting. It's definitely not the festival I'd recommend to like dip your toe into it and see if you like festivals. I'd recommend something like Fantastic Fest or Overlook, where it's a little bit more like one location. South by, the thing that's a little wild is it's so massive that there's like 8 different venues. And so depending on how you kind of select your films and plan your day out, I mean, they're almost the entire time that I was there, and especially this year because they kind of shortened the schedule and tightened everything up. It was not unusual for me to like watch a film and as soon as the credits roll, have to like run outside, get an Uber as fast as possible, jump in, run out, drop the Uber drops me off at the other theater. I have to run and get in line. And it was kind of the thing where the first year I was able to have a lot more downtime, walk around. I walked between a lot of venues. So it's exhausting by the end of it, especially with just watching a lot of movies. I think I watched like 22, something like that by the end of it. You feel it, but there was a lot of good flicks. You had Over Your Dead Body was my favorite one. And I think they're doing a special like sneak preview thing tonight, actually, but it's going to be coming out next Friday. Can't recommend that movie enough. It was absolute blast. There's a film called Kill Me that I don't believe has distribution yet, but it's like a murder mystery, dark comedy with Charlie Day from Always Sunny.
Yeah.
Where he wakes up in a bathtub with his wrists cut, and he calls 911, gets his life saved or whatever, but his family's like, oh, this guy again. Like, they just write it off as a failed attempt, mental health problems, and he's like, I didn't do this, somebody put me in this fucking tub. Like, what nobody believes me. And so it's like a mystery of him trying to figure out who did this to him, while us as the audience never really know, like, is there actually an unmasked killer out there somewhere, or is he just crazy? It was awesome. So those were
Okay.
my top 2.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, organic. I mean, you're a pro at this by now, so you probably knew those questions were coming. But yeah, because
Mhm.
I remember last year, if I'm not mistaken, you had told me that you saw Together. Was that at
Yes,
South by Southwest as well? And you,
correct.
for months, were telling people, look out for this movie. This movie rules. Like, and
Mhm.
I loved that movie. And it was weird too, because I feel like the response to that movie when it came out was so muted. And I don't know if it had something to do with, because you know how people take those narratives online. Oh, plagiarism. Oh, no thanks. I'm not going to go support this movie, which
Yeah.
obviously ended up being bullshit. But I actually really dug that. And I don't think we get body horror films enough these days. I mean, you had The Substance and Together. Those are two pretty damn good ones back to back.
Mhm.
But would you say that either one of those two is on par with Together for you?
Yeah, definitely up there. I would say, or I mean, Over Your Dead Body is like a horror comedy. So this is a remake to a film. I've never seen the original. I can't even remember the title of it, but I think it's got the woman from the original Dragon Tattoo movies in there. But nonetheless, it's Jason Segel and it's Samara Weaving, and they're a married couple where their relationship's kind of rocky. You know, it's not in the healthiest state, and they go off to this little lake house for the weekend to kind of like get away from it all, you know, try to mend fences or whatever, but they're both secretly plotting to murder the other. And
Hmm.
so it is a movie where for the first half, it's just like at least it's probably going to depend on the energy in your theater, as always. At the screening that I saw, it was like absolute gut busting laughter, like every 5 minutes. And I'm one of the biggest critics nowadays about how like no movies are funny anymore. Comedy's just dead. They're too scared to be edgy and funny. And this was a film that like I can't remember laughing that hard in a very long time. And then it gets to a point where just the violence and the gore is like cranked up to 11 out of nowhere, and to the point where it like literally shocks you because you kind of expect a movie with that tone is probably going to like pull back a little bit.
Mhm.
And then some things happen. And like I remember I literally said, like, oh shit, like in the theater like that when something happened. So it was just one of those movies where I honestly don't think since like Endgame I've been like that reactive in the theater, and it was just a blast.
Mm. And
Um,
when does that come out?
it comes out next Friday, like
Okay.
as far as wide, but there's some kind of like special screening, if probably the exact time that we're talking right now. So too late, guys, but
Yeah.
but yeah, it comes out in a week, so you don't have to wait long for it. Kill Me, that depends. I mean, that could be a year from now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would put both of them either on par or just above together. They're very strong. And
Okay.
then the number one movie that I saw last year at South by ended up being my favorite movie the entire year. It's called Rivals of Amziah King. That comes out like mid-August finally. So that's another
Yeah.
movie that I always try to like put back on people's radar with Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah.
I don't know if we talked about that one before, but it's the most bizarre movie to try to describe. And it's one of the reasons why I loved it, because there's never been a movie like this. But the first third of it is like kind of like a comedic redneck musical to a certain degree. Like Matthew McConaughey is just like this kind of this redneck guy that runs a honey company, and he's a beekeeper. And this girl who he
Yes,
used to
I've
like.
seen the trailer. Yes.
Okay, they
Yeah.
do have a trailer. Yeah, yeah. So the
Yeah.
first third of it is very much like it's not a musical in the sense that they're like singing the dialogue, but it's a musical where like they just would break into song, and music is a big piece of like the language of the movie for the first third or so. Then the second act is like a heist thriller, and then the third act is like a revenge movie. So it's one of those things where like we're watching it. I all I had was a promo picture of Matthew McConaughey in his little beekeeper outfit, and it looked like Free State of Jones or something. I'm like, okay, it's like a period piece with Matt. Okay, whatever. And dude, within 5 minutes, I'm like, I might love this. And then there was like so many points in the movie where they would just do this huge swing, and I was like, oh, I think you ruined the movie. And then you start to settle back into it, and you're like, no, this is awesome. And so the whole time, I just loved that thing. So I don't think it's going to be like a huge hit. I think it's going to float under the radar, but I do hope it's going to get some kind of awards consideration, because it deserves it. So
Yeah, hell, I feel like you did talk about that, but I can't remember. But I do remember seeing a trailer for it, and I was
mhm,
like, it seems really unique, I guess is a good way to put it. Like even just
very.
watching, yeah, and then hearing you describe it, it's like I don't know how this can be good.
Mhm.
Or not in the sense of like it sounds bad, it just sounds wild.
Yes.
I love Matthew McConaughey, so like I mean
Mhm.
he's the only thing that yeah, he's about the only thing that makes The Next Generation watchable for me. I'll be totally
Yeah.
real with you.
Yep.
I would say Renee, but like she's not even good in that film.
No.
Yeah. So
And
okay.
she won't embrace it the way that he does, so fuck her.
No, I know, right?
I'm kidding, kind of, but yeah.
I mean, I was talking about this the other day that it honestly blows my mind to have people like Jennifer Aniston doesn't really. I mean, she has talked about Leprechaun before, not a lot.
Mhm.
You know, Paul Rudd in the like 2 times he's publicly talked about Halloween 6, he just shits on it.
Yep.
I just feel like that's weird. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. You're a more serious actor now. Like, you don't want to be associated with those things, but like, you can usually draw a through line as to why you are, you know, how you became something from those movies a lot of the time. Like, you get noticed from them, whether they're
Mhm.
good or bad. I just wish they would, I don't know, heap some love on those more. Like Adam Scott, talk about Hellraiser Bloodline. That movie fucking rules, and he's good in it. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird to me, especially if you're in a place in your career where you've made it. Like you're very successful. It's not like you got stuck making movies like that. It's odd to me to not embrace where you came from. It's not like if you acknowledge you were in Leprechaun, you're gonna fuck up future deals for yourself or something like that. It's always bizarre to me in that sense, where it almost feels like they're ashamed they were in a horror movie. Sometimes it's just because the movie sucked, but like in Jennifer Aniston's case, I wouldn't say Leprechaun sucks. It's far from the
No.
worst one. That's most people's favorite. But it almost feels like they're ashamed to be in a horror film, and then you take a little offense to that as a horror fan, where you're like, okay, don't come back then. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It's like, but Jennifer Aniston doesn't need us. She's got Friends money for the rest of her life. But
Yep.
yeah, dude, I don't know. Also, by the way, when I was doing my Leprechaun series last month, I went back and watched a lot of your videos too,
Mhm.
and I think we're in agreement. Leprechaun 3 is the best one, right?
1 and 3 are the 2 that I like the most. I think I tend to care for the first one maybe a little bit more, but I do like the third one quite a bit. The gore is amplified, the setting's fun. They ramp up the comedy just enough in that one without going full blown, Leprechaun in the Hood 2 or
Oh,
Back in
God.
the Hood or whatever. Yeah.
I thought I liked that one. Years ago was the last time I watched them, and when I was going through them again, I was like, oh, Back to the Hood. I remember this one being good and In the Hood being bad. No, it was the inverse. I like
Mhm.
In the Hood. I do not like Back to the Hood.
Yeah.
So yeah, interesting. The Leprechaun. That's another thing. I know we're a month late on this, guys. You're probably all Leprechauned out at this point, but I don't understand why we don't have any movement on another Leprechaun film. It sounds like Warwick is on board to come back. At this point, Darren Lynn Bousman wants to do it. Lionsgate would only have to shell out a few million. I just don't see why we don't do it, frankly. Yeah.
Yeah, the guys, the producers, the Levy brothers over there with the Terrifier franchise are super into it too. They did like a little like a fan film short
Mhm.
where it was like a direct sequel to the original film, and it was
Leprechaun
really solid.
Revenge, right? I think it was
Something like
Revenge.
that. Yeah, like it kind of like did the same thing that other sequel did, where it's like let's bring Ozzy back, but it did it in a way where I think it made a little bit more sense. But yeah, I was totally on board for that because I'm like, you could tell these guys love this movie. It's not just like what property's cold right now. Let's do this one. You can tell they're like, no, this is the shit, and I want to get my stab at it. So yeah, it's weird. It's weird to have a property like that with notable names in the industry hungry to do it. No movement.
No, I
And this
know.
is the time to succeed with that. I mean, it's not like, Leprechaun's not going to go out there and crush it at the box office, but if you keep the box office low enough, you will make a profit in one weekend.
Oh yeah, like I said, you put 5 million behind this movie with the cult status Leprechaun has achieved by now. I guarantee you, worldwide, you could make 10 million opening weekend. Like I don't
Mhm.
see how that couldn't happen.
Yep,
And then you're
especially
already
if
in
you
the black.
time it in March.
Exactly. But yeah, so I want to start by just talking about Blumhouse's experiment with the Universal monsters. It has been interesting to say the least. I was talking about this last night. I thought that The Invisible Man back in 2020 was fantastic. Like or 2021. I love that movie.
Mhm.
I finally watched Wolfman a couple months back. Did not like it at all. It's
Mm.
not. It's not a wolf. And now we've got Lee Cronin's The Mummy coming out tomorrow.
Yeah.
with where you are with Blumhouse's attempts so far at the Universal monsters, what do you think of Invisible Man and Wolfman? And are you going to see The Mummy? You looking forward to it? Where are you at with that?
I thought The Invisible Man was great. I really enjoyed that one. To me, that was like, that's how you modernize a concept. You know, you stay true to the elements of the original. You're not feeling like you're betraying it or borrowing the name to put it on something that's unrecognizable, but it's a very modernized version with the invisibility suit and even just having commentary in there about, you know, toxic relationships and stuff like that. So yeah, I thought Lee Winnell did a fantastic job with that one. Wolfman was one of my top 5 those disappointing films of last year. That was a movie that I was just like rabid for because like I love vampires. Most people know that. And werewolves to me should be in that same conversation, but it's just like for some reason there's just never really a good werewolf film, hardly any since the 80s. And so I've been waiting for not only a werewolf film to come out to like really give that shot in the arm to that subgenre, but also you slap Lee Winnell's name on there, and I'm like guaranteed to be awesome. That everything the dude touches, I love. And yeah, I don't know what happened, man. Like to me, I watched that film and it didn't even feel like it was a Lee Winnell film. And so like hearing, I don't remember specifically what he said, but I actually kind of, me and my buddy ran into him casually at Monster Palooza last year, which was weird. We're just like looking at a booth. Oh shit, Lee Winnell, what's up? But this was right before they made the public announcement that Blumhouse had acquired Saw. And he was talking about how, you know, Blumhouse is much more IP based now. And that, you know, they used to be really about like independent filmmakers and independent new stories and stuff. And now it's much more about, let's get the Infinity Stones of all the, you know, all the franchises out there since Halloween. And there was something about the way that he said it where I'm like, you didn't want to do Wolfman. You did Invisible Man and had a 2-picture deal, and they gave you this one, and you were just like, let me just get this fucking done so I can go do my own thing again. That's what it feels like to me. That's the only way I can justify it in my head that Lee Winnell made that movie, because the flaws of that film do not line up with what I know that guy to do as a storyteller. But I'm with you. Bold idea, maybe, but it just feels like 5% of what you want from a Wolfman movie. With Lee Cronin's The Mummy, I really don't know what to expect. To me, when I watch that trailer, it feels like Pet Sematary with a mummy skin thrown on it.
Yeah.
And that could be awesome because I love Pet Sematary, but also it's like, is this going to be a really cool reimagining like Invisible Man, or is this going to be like Wolfman where I watch this and go, why is this called The Mummy? This is not The Mummy, you know. And the trailers I don't think have been great. I really get skeptical when the early social media thing is like, this movie's fucked up, it's crazy, it's the most insane thing you've ever seen. I'm like, yeah, whatever, fucking, you guys say that every time. And then they really really desperately want you to understand that this is not a continuation of Brendan Fraser's movies. Apparently, and I don't know if this is true, apparently their first test screening was like shit because everybody walked into it thinking it was like the 4th Mummy movie or something. So yeah, I don't know. I am going to be seeing it though, for sure. Not that I have much of a choice. I'm going to see that tomorrow, and then I'm also going to be following it up sometime this weekend or maybe even Monday, depending on the editing. My Patreon picked for me to do a Blumhouse tier list, and I was like, perfect. We got a Blumhouse movie coming out in a week, so I'll wait and do it then. So I'm just going to do a big tier list of all the Blumhouse movies that I've seen. And it's probably going to be a little bottom heavy.
I don't disagree, but I will tell you, a couple years back, Christian and I did like just yay or nay on Blumhouse movies for an episode. And by the end of it, I think we were both like, you know what? They actually have some pretty damn good shit in here. But the problem is there's a lot of really middling stuff. So I feel like a lot of people associate them with the middling because it seems like they pump out 3 to 5 of the middling ones every year, damn near. And there's one great one or one really good one. So, yeah, but from hearing what you said, what Lee Winnell said about, or at least inferred about Blumhouse these days being very IP driven and whatnot, like that makes sense. I was actually talking about that last night with my buddy Matt on his channel. And I was just like, it's weird because Blumhouse used to be that studio that would give anybody the opportunity to tell a story. I mean, shit, they gave Rob Zombie like $2 million to make Lords of Salem. Like a lot of people don't realize that was Blumhouse.
Yeah.
And now it seems very much like we've cultivated some franchises and we want to continue those. We're not really interested in starting something new, which is weird to me. I mean, I'm not the billionaire, or I would assume, or close to it, that Jason Blum is, so I can't say whether or not that's a smart strategy, but it is a little disappointing because I do remember not even 10 years ago where Blumhouse was known for that. And I felt like that's when you got their better films. Do you think it was 2018? Do you think Halloween 2018 changed their business model?
It's somewhere around there. Yeah. I think that, you know, it's no secret that they have been pounding on Robert Englund's door for years. They got Five Nights at Freddy's. They turned The Purge into a franchise. They turned Paranormal Activity into a franchise. I want to say there's like one or two other big ones that they've acquired, or at least got very close to acquiring. You know, they were in the running to get Friday the 13th a couple of years ago.
They've got Insidious.
So, yep, there you go. Insidious, anything with James Wan, I think maybe even the Conjuring, unless I'm mistaken. But they got Insidious for sure.
They merged with Atomic Monster, or Atomic Monster merged with them a couple years back. I do remember that. But
yeah,
and that's funny too. I was actually I wanted to get your thoughts on this. I was talking about how I don't do the trailer reaction game anymore. I feel like that phase is kind of come and gone, largely because one, you never know if you're going to get copyright stricken, and it's just not worth it. And two, you and I were talking the other day, it's similar to the short form content. Like if your channel becomes known for that, you're not really going to get eyeballs on anything else. So a lot of times I'll watch the trailer on my own and watch it once or twice. And I got to tell you, man, that Insidious trailer does nothing for me. I mean,
I haven't even seen it. I really loved the first Insidious when it came out. I've softened on it a lot because I feel like the things that I loved about it aged very poorly. I actually prefer the third one, the one that Lee Winnell did. That's my favorite of the franchise, but I can completely leave all the rest of them. I don't think the second one, even the one that James Wan wrote and directed himself, is very good. The fourth one was the first time where it's like, oh, here we go. We're almost in VOD territory. And then I had a lot of faith when Patrick Wilson was like, I'm going to make my directorial debut. And I didn't like that one at all. It might be my least favorite. So to me, that's a franchise that's literally being bled dry. Great concept, great moments, great characters, but I mean, I feel the same way about The Conjuring, where it's just like, this is just like printing money. So who cares about making it good? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't tend to watch horror trailers almost across the board. I don't tend to watch any unless it's a teaser or if it's a movie that I don't think is going to be plot driven. Like I watched The Ice Cream Man because I knew it's just going to be a bunch of like little sizzle reels for gore, and it's exactly what it was. And so I don't really tend to do that because they, especially Blumhouse on that subject, they tend to give their entire movie away in 2 minutes. And I don't like
unless it's Halloween Ends. Then
there you go. There you go. And so I don't like having my experience spoiled. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens to Insidious. The funniest thing I've seen recently with Insidious is they did that whole like live like theater experience thing where it was going to be like a Broadway thing where they're going to like bring people into a show. And I was in contact with everybody that was in charge of that. And I was actually like kind of getting ready to do like the cross the T's, dot the I's thing to go fly out and go to one of these shows, the Insidious Live Further, or whatever they were going to call it. And then I don't know if you saw, but like the first show that they did was so fucking bad where like they had nothing. There was no story. There was like, it was just people like randomly doing shit that everybody just bombed the reviews, and like they got blasted on TikTok and everywhere. They canceled the whole tour after the first show. And so I have a t-shirt that they sent me of the show that's now like a collector's item because the fucking thing never happened.
Oh hell yeah, dude. Yeah. I remember hearing about that they were going to do that. I did not know that it got absolutely skewered and they just dropped it. That's honestly insane.
Yeah, but apparently it was stupid. Apparently, like there was just like didn't even feel like there was a cast. There were just like people walking around and like throwing random stuff at you, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is this?" And so like it was blasted everywhere, and I was like, "Oh wow." They better fix this before I get there. And then all of a sudden it's like whole tour canceled. And then nobody's mentioned it ever since.
Who put that together?
I don't know. But it's wild.
That's insane. Yeah,
Mhm.
no, we're talking about the movies, and I was actually really excited for the fifth one, the Red Door or whatever,
Yep.
because like you said, Patrick Wilson, the whole family's back, and then Rose Byrne gets like 2 scenes in it, so she's totally underutilized, and I felt like the movie was just a drama. It wasn't even a horror movie, and I was like, okay.
Mhm.
And I saw some people really loving that movie, and I couldn't get behind it. What happened to Insidious being scary? You got to remember where you were the first time you watched that first movie. And it has
Yep.
one of the best jump scares I've seen in my life. And I know you
Mhm.
know exactly what scare it is. I don't trust anybody that says that jump scare didn't get them. Like, I can't trust you. Like,
Yeah.
that got you, right?
Oh yeah, there was plenty of jump scares in that first one. I actually took my little brother to see it because I'm sadistic. So he was like probably 9 years old at the time or something like that. But I had heard so much about it, and I had a day off of work. This is weeks after the hype has been out, and so I took him to this local theater, and it's just me and him in the theater. And so like I'm getting jumped, but I'm also like I'm getting more into it because he's freaking out even more than I can. So there was numerous points. That jump scare. I mean, the lipstick face demon is what I'm assuming
Oh,
you're talking
yeah.
about, right?
Yeah.
You got that. I mean, you got the one where one of my favorite ones is where Rose Byrne is looking into the bedroom and you see the guy outside the house walk in, and all of a sudden he's like right in front of her,
Yeah.
all the way to the end, with the this flash, and all of a sudden it's the bride. Like that movie was fantastic with some of that stuff.
Mhm.
Some of the way that it uses audio to get the jump scares out of you. Once you've seen them, I feel like it ages a little bit poorly and it kind of gets on my nerves. There's a very like heavy string instrument thing every single time. It's like, like that goes
Yeah.
up. But nonetheless, yeah, that's a movie that even if it has aged poorly, you cherish the first time that you saw it. And what's
It
funny too is I'm good friends with Rob Zombie's bassist and his wife, and they're really good friends with Joe Bishara. So he's the one that does the score for most
Yep.
James Wan films, and he's the one that plays the lipstick face demon. So I was sitting the first time I was hanging out with all of them. I'm sitting next to Joe for like 20 minutes before anybody even hints at who he is. And they're like, he's like the red devil guy from Insidious. And the fuck? Yeah, it is you.
Holy shit. I didn't even
Yeah.
know that. I didn't know
Yeah.
that was Bashara. Holy
Yep.
shit.
Yep. That's him
But
and
I
all of them.
I know his music because I tell you what, I don't know what it is about that man, but he
Mhm.
has the loudest title cards I've ever heard in my life.
Oh, yeah.
Insidious's title card is like ear piercing. You have to
Yep.
turn your TV down and then turn it back up once the
Yep.
title card's over because it's so damn loud. But yeah, dude, I mean, that's one of those franchises that's like, I just remember when it used to be scary. I don't know. And I don't subscribe to the belief of like, oh, well, as you get older, man, things just don't hit the
No.
same. And I'm like, yeah, certain things don't, but like a good effective jump scare and tension like that's timeless.
Yep.
And James Wan does that better than anybody else these days. And that's why I was disappointed. I understand he was going off to do bigger things, the Fast 7, he did Aquaman, like he was getting paid more money to do bigger movies. Like I respect it. But like I felt like horror really missed him because he's the only guy that's really been able to effectively scare me since I was a teenager, frankly.
Yeah. The Insidious franchise I wasn't as upset with because especially with Lee Winnell doing the third one,
Mhm.
I walked into that skeptical. I'm like, the guy who's next to Carrie Elways doing the second worst performance in Saw. Love you, Lee, but that's what I walked into. I'm like, fuck, this is not going to be good, man. And then I walked into it and I'm like, shame on me. This motherfucker can direct. And then everything he's done short of Wolfman, I'm like, holy shit. Like one of
Yeah.
my favorite working directors. So
Mhm.
never judge a book by its cover, but it's more so to me what has really suffered was the Conjuring franchise. I
Yes.
really hate the fact, like, again, if you want to go off and let different filmmakers do the Annabelle movies and the Nun movies, and cool, makes sense. Some are going to be good, some are not going to be good. But to me, it never made sense to do Conjuring proper movies without James Wan, and you see the result. 3 and 4 are unbelievably weaker than the first two. So I
Yes.
wish I lived in the version of the reality where, not to say that he even need to do 4 of them, but that was almost like the Avenger movie for the
Mhm.
Conjuring universe. You'd get some offshoots, and then Juan's coming back to do the Conjuring 3. That's the way it should have been.
I got to be honest, man. I'm surprised it wasn't. Like it seemed like that franchise in particular. I don't think Saul was ever as close to James Wan's heart because I think he loved the first film and he
Mhm.
was he was a part of 2 and 3, but how much of a part that's up for debate. And he's pretty open, in recent years about how he hated what Saw became and
Yeah.
like he distanced himself from it. And so, but The Conjuring seemed like really important to him. Like he really did love doing those two movies. And after the third one it was still a box office hit, but I think most fans agreed. I think it's the only one in the franchise that's like rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. So I think, or it's like barely fresh. I can't remember, but like
Mhm.
everybody agreed that one was the step down. I thought that, a couple years off, they'd be able to get him back for the fourth one. I'll say that I thought Last Rites was better than 3.
I did too.
But I mean, Chavez clearly was doing his best James Wan impersonation in the fourth one, and it's more effective than 3. But dude, I was just thinking about this last night. The third act of Last Rites was super disappointing. Like our big bad is a mirror.
The spinning mirror, yeah.
Yeah, like we're fighting a mirror. I remember when we had Bathsheba, crawling on fucking armoires and shit, and now we've got a mirror.
Yep. And as much as you and I and so many other horror fans and movie fans will say that in unison and totally agree, the box office says something else because that movie crushed. And so that's all they see. They're like, oh shit. So we don't need to pay James Wan. We could just get the guy that did La Llorona. Go ahead.
Yep. And I also love how they were like, this is the last one, guys. And of course, we all knew that was going to be bullshit. It was the last one with Vera and Patrick. Yeah. And then they're immediately like, prequel, baby. I don't really know how I feel about that. I'm going to be totally real with you. I mean, I went to those movies for Patrick and Vera, frankly, and that they're not in it now because they're not scary anymore. The last two weren't scary. So if I'm not getting scared and I don't have them in it, why would I go see it? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, look, we may be surprised. I always am open to being surprised, but my best assumption is that they're going to keep making them. They're going to be okay. They're all going to feel more and more generic, and they're going to continue to make money hand over fist. And so, those movies, certain franchises, man, it's weird how it captures all the normies that aren't like diehard horror fan, don't even know who the hell James Wan is. They just see a brand name and they go out in droves. They take their dates, they go out, like especially high schoolers, Gen Z and everything like that. They go out in droves, and it's just about the generic haunted house stuff. I just want to have loud noises. I want to hear booms. I want to have ghosts walk in front of me, and then I'm good. And more power to them, I guess, but I need more.
It's crazy, but it isn't at the same time, because I was thinking, when you say that, I think like that's what Saw was for my generation. I remember, I can't tell you how many. Well, actually, I can. I don't want to. I'm not trying to sound cool. I took like 2 girls to 2 different Saw movies over the years. Like that was like a date movie. That was go with your buddies movie. Like every October, it was like, oh, Saw. This is an event film, and then that really changed with 6. 6 was when you started to see the turn downward, and not in quality. 6 is a fucking awesome movie, but it was when people stopped caring as much. But those first 5 movies, dude, anyone who was anybody in my high school, we were going to see it that weekend. Like,
oh yeah, it was the same thing in my high school, man. Like I saw and I felt like it was this little hidden secret, and then I found out very quickly it was not. Whenever people were talking about it in the hallways, and then same thing, 2, 3, all the way. I remember being in college when the 5th one came out, because like I really liked the first 3, and then 4 lost me. I'm not a fan of 4 at all. But I remember kind of feeling like, okay, how many more of these can we do? The last one sucked. This one doesn't look any better. And I watched 5 at home. This is back when I used to dabble into getting movies in other ways. But I watched 5 at home. And I remember a friend of mine, he was like, yeah, Saw 5 is out. I was like, yeah, I watched it. It kind of sucks. He's like, I don't give a fuck. I like him, Cody. And he just like loses his mind on me. I'm like, go then.
Yeah. I mean, that's because we heard that though from everybody. Like, let's be real. It's crazy that like Saw has the impression it does with so many people, like in just the normie community is like, oh God, it's Saw. Like it's all just about like gore and torture and blah. And it's not. Like there's actually a lot going on in those movies. But yeah, I totally get what your buddy was saying, man. Like, I don't give a shit if it's bad. I remember hearing the final chapter was dog shit. Like I remember so many people being like, yo, it's really bad. And I'm like, I don't care. And it wasn't until Saw Jigsaw where I finally saw a Saw film where I was like, this is bad. Like the final chapter, it's not a good movie, but like it brought Dr. Gordon back. Like there's some cool traps. It has Chester Bennington in it. So like, I'm like, I can excuse a lot of this because there's some shit I really love. But Jigsaw was the first one where I was like, holy shit, like this franchise actually might be cooked. And then they did Spiral, and they really thought they had something there. And I appreciate the the attempt to branch out. Not very good, man. Not very good. And then
Yeah. I mean, Darren Lynn Bousman swears that so much of that was meddled with, and there's a cut of the movie that's totally different. Like we hear the story all the time, so I assume most of the time it's true, but it's also kind of like if I can't see it, I don't even want to hear about it.
mhm.
Spiral I like quite a bit because the moments where it hits, it's the first movie since the first couple that feel like where the franchise started. I appreciate the fact that Chris Rock was just a massive fan and was passionate about it, and he had a hand in the storyline. But I do not think he was the right actor to lead that movie at all. I think he proves definitively you are a comedic actor and you do not have the dramatic chops to do this yet. And when he tries to transition, it's bad. And then the twist is just like one of the most predictable things in the world. Where I'm like, you got to be kidding me! Like as soon as you get that scene with the skinning, it's like, are you?
It's a golden
Really?
rule. It's a golden
Yeah.
rule in horror. If it doesn't happen on screen, that motherfucker is not dead.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. And so I'm sitting there, and it's only like 45 minutes in the movie, and I'm like, those are the times when you start praying. You're like, please have a second twist. Please have something else. Like that's how I felt with Scream 7. I don't know where you fall on that one, but I'm like, please have Matthew Lillard come out after this blonde chick is done talking because they got to have something better. But yeah, Jigsaw. I was beyond done with the franchise at that point, but I got really excited because the Spearig brothers were directing it, and I loved. I think it was Predestination. Didn't they
Yes.
do? They did Daybreakers too. So yeah, I was
they
like
did. Yep.
Predestination and Daybreakers, and they're doing a Saw movie. I'm like, this is going to be the best one, or the best one since Saw 2 or something. And I don't hate Jigsaw the way a lot of people do, but it's definitely the most bland of all of them. Like it doesn't have the highs of the best. It doesn't have the lows of the worst. It just stays in like this mediocre, like just flat line that entire film.
I would make the argument, and I have for a long time, with friends, that that's the worst a movie can be, I think, is when it
Sometimes.
you get no emotion from it. You don't
Mhm.
even want to talk about it. I would much rather you be offensively bad so I can rail against it for 20 minutes in a video. But when it's just like, yeah, that happened,
Yep.
it's a bummer. And
Mhm.
yeah, so I mean, I hear you on that one. I would imagine, well, actually, I don't know. I remember, if I'm remembering correctly, you were a fan of Saw X.
It's my favorite.
Yes, yeah, okay. It's my second favorite after Saw 3. So where are you at with Blumhouse rebooting this shit, man? I got to be honest with you. I'm really I'm upset about it. Like I'm upset.
I'm not happy. I'm trying to be cautiously optimistic. I think it's the most frustrating thing in the world as a fan when you wait for literally like over a decade. Even if you enjoy the sequels, you're waiting like, man, you guys fucked up when you killed Tobin Bell. Like, we need to get back to that. Like, that was your secret sauce, and you didn't even realize it until after you got rid of them. And then Saw X finally embraces that. And I was as cynical as you could be about that movie. I was like, whatever, man. Fucking 10 movies in. Now you're going to try this. What else do you guys have to say? And this is the third reboot in a row. And so I was just, I was saying it all over the place. Like, I don't give a shit about Saw X. And then it was the last secret screening that year at Fantastic Fest. And I walked out and I'm like, was that the best one?
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like, and like, not only did I really enjoy it, but it actually like left a really nice little thread there to follow up and do a couple more movies within that little timeline. And so I was as excited as anybody to be wrong. I'm like, fuck yes, I'm back on board. Let's do it, baby.
Yeah.
And then, what was it? A year later, maybe a year and a half, there was rumblings that they're struggling getting the story or whatever was happening. Maybe we're not going to get Saw 11. And I was like, that's weird. It kind of felt like you guys definitely had something mapped out, but whatever. And then right after that, we found out, like I said, at Monsterpalooza, where Lee had kind of told, he's like, yeah, like they're going to announce later on they acquired Saw, and we're like, whoa. And that shows you the integrity that I have, by the way, because I was not one of those guys that like went on social media and made videos like, I heard from a source. I was just like, okay, I'm not that guy. I'll let them make their announcement. So they do their announcement, and as cool as it should be on paper to have Lee Winnell and James Wan creatively back involved heavily, whatever that means, heavily with the franchise, the fact that they're making it very clear, like, we're not really married to continuing whatever Saw X was, it's just confusing, and it's just like, so this is going to be what, the fourth reboot in a row? Like what other direction are you going to go and stay in continuity? Are we going to do the legacy sequel thing where all the other ones don't matter past 1 or 2? Like, I don't know what they're going to do. And beyond that, it's like, I don't want to get grim, but Tobin Bell's not a spring chicken, so it's kind of like, let's go.
82. I think he's 82, and that's kind of where I'm at too. Is like, you could reboot this, and it might be a great movie, and it might make a shitload of money. But here's the problem: are you going to be able to sequelize it very far? Because again, not to be grim, but like, Tobin's not going to be around. Probably, 20 years from now. God willing, he lives to 100. That'd be awesome. But like, let's be realistic. So it's just like, then you're just going to have to go back to the drawing board. And we're seeing this with Nightmare, and we've been seeing this with Nightmare for 15 years now, is like, they're just scared. I know there are rights issues behind the scenes, but they're also, I don't think they are hungry, whether that be New Line or the Craven Estate, to make a new movie, because I think they're scared shitless to do it without Robert, because they tried it once and it did not go over well. It made a lot of money, but it did not go over well. So I think they might just be cool with, I hate to say this as a guy that loves Freddy. He's my second favorite, but I'm actually getting to a point where I'm like, I don't know. I genuinely don't know if I'm ever going to see another one. Like, I really don't. Not as long as a lot of these players are alive. Like, I genuinely don't think so.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It sucks as a fan. Like, it motivates me, where you almost want to be like, fuck it, I'll write it.
Exactly.
Go and turn something on, and just be like, here's how you do it without England, and just hammer it away.
And we'd work a lot cheaper than these people would pay me, like 10 grand. I'll write you a great one. Okay.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, it's always frustrating when it feels like sometimes they learn the wrong lessons, because it's not one of the smaller issues with the Nightmare on Elm Street remake is that Robert Englund's not in it. I think Jackie Earle Haley does a terrific job with what he's given, which isn't very much. But him being cast in that film was not the problem. It was all the other things surrounding it. It was a poor script that relies way too much on, trying to recreate things from the original in a way that looks shitty. An actress that played Nancy that clearly didn't give a fuck, and so many other things. I could rattle it off. I've talked about it ad nauseum, but it's frustrating when it's a fan where you're like, just don't do that, and we're good. Don't do that shit. Don't have a shit script. And
they take it as like, don't do it at all. Okay, we won't do anything.
Yeah. And I know it's tough. It's tough with, my two favorites, Freddy and Chucky. It's tough to do that in any way without imagining Brad Dourif or Robert Englund. It's not as easy as just slapping a mask on a new actor. And so it is tough, and it is one of the hardest and most like painstakingly meticulous decisions you're going to have to make as producers. But there are a ton of actors out there who could do a phenomenal job as Freddy if you give them good material to work with. And you might not have a Halloween 2018 size hit right out of the gate, but if you make a great fucking movie, the next one will be. Exactly. Because all the naysayers will shut the fuck up. I'm a naysayer sometimes. Saw X. I just said it. Saw X. If I was the one writing the checks, I'd be like, no, don't bother. And then Saw X comes out, and I'm like, make 4 more now. And so, all it takes is one good movie to turn the tide of the conversation. It's like rising tide raises all ships type thing. And so I don't think that they should go with an A-lister or a big recognizable name. I know Kevin Bacon's name's always thrown out there and stuff like that. I would much rather have them be somebody who's like mostly or completely unknown, because that's like, and younger. But have a great script, have a great idea of how to reboot it and where to go in the future. And if it's good, fans will support it. They'll be like, there is no replacing Robert. They might even say this guy's not as good as Robert, but he did pretty damn good. But I'm back on board. I love being here for Freddy. It's one of the best things and the most frustrating things about horror fans is like, we like the thing that we recognize, so we forgive a lot of shit if you do some things right.
Yeah, it's also really weird too, that kind of cultish mentality about Robert specifically, just because like Robert himself years ago gave his blessing for them to move on. Like
he says it all the time. Every time they bring it up, he's like, no, I'm too old. I was too old when I said it the first time. It's been 10 fucking years. I'm even older.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, he got to go out on a high note. Love or hate Freddy versus Jason. That movie existing is a fucking feat, like a cinematic feat. And like, he got to go out on that. That's the biggest Nightmare or Friday movie. Like,
Mhm.
hey, pretty damn good way to go out. So I don't know. I mean, I agree with you. It is really frustrating, but you had mentioned something a couple minutes ago, and I just briefly want to touch on it because people did say they wanted us to talk about this a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of people are screamed out right now, though, so that they didn't want it to revolve around this, nor do I, frankly. But you asked where I was at with Scream 7. I got to be honest with you, man. I won't lie to you, and maybe this is so petty, but I wanted this movie to be a big hit. I mean, I really did. I wanted it to make a lot of money because I really wanted it to just get some people to just shut up. Like, it got the discourse online got to be so exhausting. And it was just like, I can't talk about it positively, negatively, indifferently without somebody saying some shit. Like, so part of me was like, can this thing just like blow up and everyone can shut the hell up about it? And of course it didn't happen. It came out and it made a shitload of money, but it was bombed by a lot of the fans. And that's why people kept talking about it. So for me, it was like, I have it like right in the middle of my Scream franchise ranking. I liked it, and I won't pretend that I didn't like it. I hated the third act. I hated it. And to hear that Guy Busick and James Vanderbilt are not going to be writing the next one is honestly some of the best news I've gotten in the last 5 years. As a Scream fan, 5 was okay in the third act, and it's just been progressively downhill from there. And I don't even think 5 was a good third act. So we need new blood to write a third act that doesn't seem like it comes so far out of left field that you're just like, you feel like you just got hit in the face with something. Like, I mean, that's how it was. It was literally like, what the fuck is this? And I've heard the defenses of it, and I get it. And if you're one of those people that really dug it, guys, awesome. But I hated the third act. But the stuff it did well, or I wanted it to do well, I think it did well. The Sydney stuff was great. I thought Nev was awesome. I thought a lot of the Ghostface action was awesome. There's some really awesome kills in here, like franchise highs in kills. And I thought Kevin Williamson directed his ass off with it. I don't know how much of it you would put on, the DP or whatever, but there was some really good shit just from a standpoint of like camera work and lighting and all that I really dug. Specifically, that scene in the auditorium, the way that was lit and shot, like I thought that was awesome. But got to be honest with you, dude. I haven't had a Scream movie genuinely like kick me in the nuts where I was like, holy shit, I did not see that coming since 3. I will give a caveat. I know you're a 4 fan. I know there's a lot of people that are 4 fans. That was the last one that I feel like was surprising at all. Since 4, I don't think any reveal has made me go, what? Or like any motivation has made me genuinely like stop dead in my tracks. It's been like, it's either been, yeah, I saw that coming, or what the fuck are you trying to sell me right now? So that's where I'm at with it. But I'm happy to hear that it will be a new creative team, though I got to be honest with you. I would have liked to have seen Williamson direct again. I mean, I genuinely would have. I think he did a good job. If you have issues with it, I think a lot of the issues lie in the script. So I don't know. But I watched your review of it, and if I'm not mistaken, your opinion on it was it's bottom tier Scream for you, right?
Yeah, it's the only one that I've given a negative review to.
Okay.
I didn't think it was like trash. I'm not one of those like 1 out of 5, 0 out of 5 people, but of the quality that I expect from Scream. I mean, I was passionately a hater on the third act of Scream 6. That movie pissed me off because I loved everything before that. I was like, this is probably the best sequel, and then it just goes off a fucking cliff as soon as the reveals come. And so that was a movie that you would think I would hate, but when all comes out in the wash, I was like, it's still solid, it's still watchable. It's just, man, when you get to that third act, your nuts hurt. But 7, I mean, it's got moments. There's some kills that I think are pretty solid. Like you said, there's a couple of shots in there that are cool, like the auditorium thing with the silhouette and the lights and everything. A couple of sequences I think are good ideas that weren't brought to their fullest potential. Like, I really love the idea of them going between the walls and Ghostface stabbing at the wall. But to me, you're missing a character. You have 2 characters in the wall that we know aren't going to fucking die. And so it kind of kills the tension of that moment when you know they're going to be fine. They might get like nicked. But imagine that sequence with one of the daughter's friends with them, like she's staying the night or whatever. and she's in the middle of them trying to move through the wall, and Ghostface fucking gets her right in the head or the heart, and now all of a sudden there's a body there that you can't move, and you have to like climb and get over the body to get it through it. Like instantly, that sequence is all timer. So there's times where I feel like Kevin Williamson does suitable, and there's times where you can really tell that he's an inexperienced director, and that's one of them.
Yeah.
So would I like to see him get more shots to see if he can continue to grow? You know, it's been decades since he did it the last time. So now if he does a movie 2 years removed from this one, how much better could it be? Sure, I'd be curious about that. Do I also think there's much more capable directors that are already established that could do a much better job and be a safer bet? Yes.
I was really stoked when they announced Christopher Landon at the beginning. Honestly, I love Landon.
Me too. Yeah, that'd be a perfect fit. It's a shame that he got the treatment that he did. I didn't like how I'm somebody that I always bitched that the Scream movies never really had that memorable kills. They're all very basic. And even the one that everybody calls out, which is the doggy door one from the first one, I think is one of the dumbest fucking kills ever. So I'm not really a fan of that one. But this one, I'm like, finally, I got my creativity. But then you put CGI in there and kind of take it away. So it was kind of a wash for that.
Yeah.
But the script, man, like, I mean, the writing was on the wall. When you're looking at the history of the movie and they're writing it as the proper third film in this Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega trilogy, and then they're out. So they have to retool the movie to what, and then whatever Christopher Landon was going to do. I don't know if he had a whole new script or if it was going to be just take those characters.
It was the sisters. It was the sisters. He said that.
Yeah. So so it feels like this was like plan C of retooling the same script or some version of a script. And to me, the smartest thing would have been to delay it a year. But I think that's one of the reasons why they hired Kevin Williamson, where they're like, okay, you get to finally direct a Scream film. You get to direct again. You get to have the big name on the marquee and everything like that. But we need this done by this date. You have a year. Do you agree to this for this amount of money? And I think he said yes. Same with Nev Campbell. You know, money talks. And it just, the whole movie, you could just tell this script was not up to par with the dialogue, with this, the motivations. I mean, even the opening, I thought the opening was great. And then as the movie goes on, you look back and it's the only opening that I can think of any Scream film where it's like, there's not really a narrative reason why that opening happened. It just kind of happened. Like, it doesn't even make sense that exists. And then, yeah, the third act. I mean, a good third act could have saved this movie, and it might have even been better than Scream 6 for me if they had a really solid reveal. I didn't like the AI stuff. To me, it was like the laziest way you could kind of have your cake and eat it too, with appeasing the stew fans. But you get to the third act, and I'm like, okay, I know for a fact. I guess I won't spoil it because people haven't seen it on home video, maybe. But there is a character that shows up to give a big exposition dump to two characters about halfway through the film, where I'm like, well, unless he's Ghostface, it makes no fucking sense why he's doing what he's doing right now. So
one fucking scene. He gets one fucking scene. And
yeah. So I'm like, let's go ahead and check that one off. So we either got one or two more, unless they're going to go real crazy and have four of them in this movie. And then you have a character where they literally only show up to lore dump. I'm like, there's my second checkbox. What the fuck are we doing? And then so you get to the third act, and you know they have that big dramatic thing where slowly we're gonna take the Ghostface mask off and surprise. Oh yeah, it's him. No shit. And then you got another one that seems tall from the way it was shot. So I'm like, that's like Matthew Lillard height. I don't know. Are they gonna go crazy? Are they gonna fully do it? It's stupid, but it might save it with the stupidity. And then it pulls it off, and I'm like, oh, so I was right with that one too. Like, and that's what I meant, where I'm like, this is dumb. And the longer this chick talks, the worse that it's getting, because this motivation is dog shit. But if they just go balls out and have something wacky, or like, you know, she's fighting Sydney, and then all of a sudden a third knife comes in and it's another Ghostface, and it's, you know, our boy or whatever. Like, they could have done something balls out stupid and saved it for me. But it was not that. It was just, to me, there's a line in the movie where they say, I think it might have been Mindy that said it, where it's like, this isn't a Scream movie, it's a Sydney movie. And that's kind of the whole theme of the movie, really. It's like, this is about Sydney. It's not really a Scream film. It's not for Scream fans. It's for everybody that wanted Nev back. And in the third act, man, like, I think if you took a shot every single time Sydney fucking Prescott was said by a character, you'd be blackout drunk and in the hospital.
I've got to be honest. Like, I'm not going to shy away from, like, I'm one of those people. Like, I'm one of those people that was like, I want Nev back. She's my favorite final girl of all time. So like, I think that's why a lot of it worked for me, because it
Yeah.
did feel more like a Sydney centric slasher movie. But I can say at the same time, it is really disappointing that Scream is starting to feel less and less like Scream as Scream goes on. And I don't
Oh,
I don't even want to say that that's like a product of the times, because I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't think that Terrifier feels less Terrifier the more money Damien Leone gets. No, I think it
yeah.
still feels and looks like Terrifier.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to lose everything that made those movies as good as they were. But I
Mhm.
do feel like Scream is losing. You said something there that was like so fucking on the nose, where you were like, if it would have been a good third act, it could have saved the whole movie for me. The reason for that, I believe, is because that's what's the most important thing in the Scream movie. Like,
Yep.
you can have a middling slasher film, but the end, like, holy shit, surprise, and this motivation is awesome, and it's over the top and zany, and like, that can save the whole thing.
Yep.
And it just wasn't there in that. It wasn't there in 6. And it, honestly, frankly, in 6, I felt like they tried way too hard to make it like insane and over the top, where they were like, yeah, this is really going to do it for people. And when I did that video last week about like one change for every Scream movie, and my one change for Scream 6 was drop the family revenge motivation. Like, the motivation for Scream 6 should have just been radicalization online. Like, that is way better. Like, these conspiracies that make people believe things that are just not true, that can drive people, that we've seen many times in recent years, do crazy shit. You
Yeah.
didn't need the whole, oh, and also we're Richie's family. Like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like, it's just, I don't know, man. I'm not even trying to pretend that you or I are better writers than these guys, but I'm starting to wonder. Like, I'm honestly starting to wonder.
Well, yeah, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. It's easy to be an armchair quarterback and everything, but also sometimes you're like, how did you not see this? And Scream 7 is one of those times where it felt like the commentary, the relevant, timely commentary is already right there, baked into the fucking cake that you made. It's just you didn't put enough of it in there. AI. And also, like, we've had a couple of movies where Sydney is treated like this big celebrity. She's this legend. Wouldn't you think it would be timely to switch that up a little bit, where maybe in Scream 7, and they teed off with this with the opening, the ghost faces are the celebrities and nobody gives a fuck about Sydney anymore? And so the people, like, I mean, they're literally doing selfies like, this is where Richie died. And so like, it's right there. And we see that shit online all the time, where like the villains are idolized. The villains are the popular ones everybody wants to talk about and retweet about and everything. And the victims, nobody even knows their fucking name.
Cody, you are writing the next Scream movie. I'm not even shitting you, because that is an onion. Like, there are layers to that, because the next layer is that could be a whole commentary on aging. Sidney Prescott is aging, and like, you're aging out of your popularity. Nobody gives a shit about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. That's fucking good.
Yeah, and but it was right there. That's the thing that's frustrating. It's like, you watch the opening, and then, like, when I'm watching the movie, and I'm like, for like, sometimes when you review films, your brain is like doing weird shit where you're thinking about stuff while you're watching the film. And so I'm like, why was that opening there? Like, when you try to play detective, you try to put the breadcrumbs together, you try to get ahead of the movie. And that was the one where I'm like, that would be a cool thing to do, where there's some kind of a commentary about, AI usage in films, which could be its own movie, but also, like I said, where it's like they're idolizing the ghost face killers, people that murdered people, as if they're celebrities. And then Sydney's always been treated like the celebrity. It's like, it's time to switch that dynamic up a little bit, and it would make perfect sense for what happens so much nowadays, especially online. And so that's where I get frustrated. And you try to, you always try to be modest, like you said, where it's just like, I'm not saying I'm a better writer, but then when I look at stuff like that, I'm like, I think I could have wrote a better movie than you. And I'm not, I've never written a script before, but I'm sitting here rattling off ideas like left and right, walking into the fucking parking lot that seemed obvious.
Yeah, and you're right in the sense of like, explicitly, the one thing that like really stuck out to me was like, it's easy to Monday morning quarterback. It absolutely is. And because they make our job easier, because they give us a movie that we are able to then look at and pick apart and be like, but why do this when you could have done this? Sure, easier. Hindsight's 2020. But at the same time, you're also right in saying there's some shit that is literally right in front of you. That it's like, but I don't even need to see your finished script to know that, like, in writing this, me as a logical person, I would have been like, I don't know if this makes sense though. Maybe I
Yeah.
need to scratch this and do something different. But again,
Yeah.
I think you're right in saying, like, I think the studio kind of panicked a little bit. They had a deadline and they were like, look, we got to get this out here. It's an investment for us and it's a lot of money on the table for us. And we
Yep.
want that money. So I don't know. I'm hoping that Scream 8, because we all know it's coming, obviously. So I'm hoping that they take some lessons from not even just 7, man, the last 3 movies. Because, like I said, Scream 6, great until the 3rd act. I'm with you. I was watching that movie in the theater. I mean, I actually had like sweaty palms at parts in it, and I had not felt that way in a
That
long time
latter
with
part.
Scream.
Yeah.
Yes, I was like, this is fucking good. And then the 3rd act happened, and I'm like, oh, damn it. Like, of course, you couldn't be like 2 hours of great.
Yep.
Scream 7, you know, we talked about the issues. And then Scream 5, I just feel like when I first saw Scream 5, I was like, hell yeah, Scream's back. This is awesome. And every time I've watched it since, I'm just like, this is, it's like, it exists. It's a movie. It's not bad, nor is it great. I feel like it's just somewhere in the mediocre range. And that was, it's disappointing. So, like, take lessons from these 3, man. Like, please, because if we get a Scream 8, that's just like all the worst of those 3 movies, like an amalgamation of that. Oh God, we're in trouble, man. We're in trouble.
yeah.
But speaking of franchises in trouble, you and I talked about this before. We've talked about this privately as well. This is your bread and butter, man. And I saw your reel. I saw your video about Don Mancini says Chucky's coming back to theaters, Cody. He's doing it. Don't worry. Y'all thought Chucky was dead. No, of course not. Sure, Sci-Fi and USA said, fuck no, we're done. But fret not. We're getting a movie and we're going back. And I saw one of the favorite comments I saw on that is, I think somebody said on your video was like, it's like, you know, being with an abusive ex or an abusive partner and being like, they promise they're not going to hit you this time. And so you go back. Yeah, why don't you spill how you're feeling about this? Because I know you got some thoughts.
Oh man, dude, it's so complicated. And yeah, that battered wife, I use that analogy a lot. Sometimes people don't like it because they're like, you're making light of something. I'm like, it's a fucking joke. Get over it. But anyway, I mean, I love this franchise so much. I credit Child's Play 3, deservedly so, with making me a horror fan. I mean, I got Chucky in the background every one of my videos. He's a huge piece of, you know, my fandom, my movie love, everything like that. But ever since 2004, it's been a complicated relationship. You know, you and I agree that Seed of Chucky is awful. I've given that movie more chances than many films to win me over, and I just don't see it. Like, it's just I've heard the arguments. I've heard it was ahead of its time. I've heard it's about the representation. You can, you know, evaluate it now. I've heard all of that, and I've also heard people in the communities that are being represented say the opposite of how they don't really like that representation at all. So it has its fans, but not many of them. Curse of Chucky, I think you and I agreed, if I remember correctly, the last time, where we're walking in skeptical. They're like, after Seed of Chucky and it's going to VOD, is this going to be like Hellraiser movies now? What's going on now? And so you walk in skeptical, and the Curse of Chucky's fucking great. And it's like, wow, holy shit, you did it. Okay. Don slipped a little bit in the last one, but we're on the right track. And then Cult of Chucky comes, and it's like, okay. And then we hear the TV announcement, and it's like, I'm going right back to Curse, where I'm like, a Chucky TV show on USA Network? Like, what are we doing? What's going on here? How do you follow up? Like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And I really liked season 1. I have some issues, but I really like season 1. I'm like, hey, you know what? This works. This is fun. I dig all this. Full steam ahead. You got me again. And then season 2. Oh, fuck me. And then season 3, I don't think you watched it, but it basically splits the difference, where it's like, it's still kind of wacky Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky stuff, but just not as insane as season 2. And then get canceled. And he was already talking about this movie before season 3 was even done, saying that he was writing a film. And for me, that was the moment where, like, I read through it and I'm like, I bet they've already kind of given him a hint that this is it. And so I've known that there is a movie in some form of progress for a while, but this was the first time this past weekend at Steel City Con where he really gave some more substantial details. So yeah, I said that it's intended to be theatrical. It's supposed to go back to like a Curse of Chucky, like reset type of mentality where we're gonna like keep it in continuity, but kind of like wash a lot of things away and kind of start fresh. And it's supposed to be darker and scarier, like the first couple of films in Curse. All things that on paper are music to my ears. But what's that phrase? Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. This is like fool me 4 times.
I was gonna say, what happens when they fool you 4 times?
Yeah, and so like my emotions are so all over the place where it's just like, okay, if we're going scarier, if we're going darker, if we're doing a reset, like the way that Curse was, if it works out the way that Curse is, that's what this franchise needs badly, and that's what type of movie I would want to hear you're making. So that's awesome. Theatrical, I haven't been able to see a Chucky movie in theater if you count the remake 3 times, but a Chucky proper movie, I've only been able to see Bride and Seed. And so I haven't been able to see Chucky on the big screen, Brad Dourif's Chucky, in over 20 years. By the time this comes out, it'll be almost 25 years. And so it's like, okay, I'm there for that. That's cool. Being able to walk into the theater and see a Chucky movie, and also morbid curiosity. I just want to see how well it does in the box office, just for like, it's almost like that tribal bragging right. It's like, can it beat I Know What You Did Last Summer? Can it beat these other ones? So you have that in there. But I know in the back of my head, even if this movie nails everything that it says it's going to do, it, you know, resets the franchise, it gets us back to center, it's darker, it's scarier, you can take it seriously again, it doesn't get so batshit with the lore, Chucky's intimidating. I know what's coming next.
Yes, sir. You know what Don's going to do. He's going to take the
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's almost like, is it worth getting one more great Child's Play thing to then get one more round of frustration afterwards? I don't know. I would be fascinated to talk with the guy because I really want to know what the mentality is with all of that. I'm sure that there is frustration with him as a creator where clearly he likes the more campy, over the top stuff. But I think the numbers push more towards the original films. And so he kind of tries to like appease both sides of it. And while doing that, you just create 2 splinters of your fan base. I have this argument with people where they're like, they act like the Chucky TV show and some of these other ones because they like them. They're obviously, this is the biggest success ever. And I'm like, I would be willing to give that to you if it didn't seem so obviously the opposite. Like, as soon as you do Seed, it's never in theaters again. As soon as you do Cult, and I don't know if he planned to transition to TV after that, but I would hesitate to say he probably wanted to do another movie. But after you do Cult, you don't get the VOD movies anymore. Then after you do season 2 and 3, your show gets canceled. So for as many passionate fans that there are out there, and there's a lot of them that love the crazier side of Chucky and the more modern stuff and the all over the place Chucky, it doesn't seem like that's what draws people in.
Nope.
And so I try not to have it as confirmation bias, but to me, if I'm looking at the pattern there, it's like, it's kind of undeniable. And so to me, it's like, just as a creator, if you want your franchise to keep going, and seemingly, like, you could tell me if you've seen this way, like, people that like the more darker, serious Chucky tend to really be averse to the crazy stuff.
Yes.
And the opposite, people that like the crazy stuff, they still like the dark and serious stuff. So if you're going to be able to appease both by doing the darker Chucky, why wouldn't you just stick with that?
Exactly. Look, you said something in that video too that I thought was spot on. I don't think enough people are talking about the fact that, yes, the plan is to have this be theatrical and to go back to the roots and everything like that. But I'm going to be totally real with you, bro. I don't think it matters what Don wants to do. I don't think it matters what his plan is, because frankly, if you've burned your bridge with theaters and then you burn your bridge with VOD and then you burn your bridges with television, what on earth makes this man, and kudos to him for having, I guess, maybe blind confidence in himself, but like, what makes you think that anyone's going to be like, here's $10 million? Absolutely. And we will give this a marketing push. That does not sound like a smart business decision to me at all. Like, crazy. Some people are going to laugh at this and call me stupid. I actually think it'd be a better business decision in this day and age to give $10 million to a fucking Leprechaun movie with Warwick Davis. I'm dead serious, because at least with the fan base, there's an appetite for that. at these days. I don't think there's an appetite for Don Mancini at this point, aside from the very loud minority of people that loved the TV show, to see him continuing to be the voice, the driving force. And dude, I made a tweet about this months ago, and man, the shit I saw in my replies from people I've never seen before. And you warned me. You were like, yeah, dude, you can't say anything bad about this modern iteration of Chucky on the internet because these people will come for you.
Yep.
And people were all saying like, just like, how dare you say this about the man that literally created Chucky? And which is funny to me because I'm like, you guys clearly don't know what the fuck you're talking about. You're clearly new era fans because the version of Chucky that Don Mancini created is not the one we got.
Yeah.
And ever since then, he has tried to bring that version of Chucky that he wanted out to light, and it has turned all of us off. We're like, this is not the Chucky I want. But lo and behold, what I'm saying, though, is just like, I just don't know why anybody thinks this is going to happen the way that Don is saying it is. I think this is wish casting. What do you think?
No, and that was the big thing that I didn't see anybody really calling out. And so that was one of the bigger points that I made in that video for a reason is like, yeah, you can intend this to be theatrical. Who doesn't intend their movie to be theatrical? But like, I mean, I'm the biggest Chucky fan you're going to find. And I am with you where I'm like, I don't know how many people at Universal are going to be ready to write that check for a marketing campaign and a theater push and let the theaters take a chunk. Like, as much as I would like to, as a fan, say that, you know, Chucky's one of the greats and he's going to kill it at the box office, I don't know if he will, because the direction that he's going with this movie is a hard sell for casual audiences. It's going to follow up 7 movies and 3 seasons of a TV show. It's within continuity. It'd be one thing if he said this is a reset and, you know, like maybe he's not going to delete the other things, but we're not going to like really bother ourselves with referencing or making you do homework. But he literally says it's going to be following up the story of season 3 in some way, whether that's in the opening, whether that's the characters coming in later on. I don't know what size of his script is going to be dedicated to that, but we've seen in even big franchises like Mission Impossible, where somebody comes out and they're like, this is the 7th one. I got to like, it seems crazy to think there's people that haven't seen the other ones, but there's a lot of them. And so they think I got to watch 7 movies to know what this final reckoning thing. I'm not going to watch that. And those movies didn't do so well.
Yep.
Well, multiply that by about 20 with Chucky, because it's like, I got to watch 7 movies and a TV show. The TV show is where people are going to go, no, this is following up something. I don't even know what the hell this is. I mean, you can cut around that in the trailer, but then are you going to get called out in the early reviews and everything where people are like, this feels like episode, 10 of a show I didn't watch.
Yep.
So that's the hard thing. Like if this was like a Child's Play reboot or a Child's Play legacy sequel or whatever, like that's much easier for a studio to sell. That's not what this is though. And so that's where it's like, I hope you know what you're doing, but this feels like it's going to be on Peacock.
Yeah, man. Oh God, that was such a knife to the heart right there. That last sentence feels like this is going to be on Peacock. It's like, shit. Yeah, you're probably right. And then it'll come and go, and nobody will talk about it aside from the 25 diehard fans of this modern iteration of Chucky. But yeah, man. I mean, not to beat a dead horse. You guys know my stance and Cody's stance on this. We've talked about it before. It did bear mentioning because this is news. This is recent news. But quite frankly, call me skeptical at best it even happens, let alone happens in the way that Don Mancini envisions it's going to happen. So we'll see. But, we're coming up on May, which is honestly friggin' crazy to say, dude, because like I feel like Christmas was yesterday.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious, what, aside from the things you've seen at South by Southwest that you already know are coming out later this year that you liked or you didn't like, things that you haven't seen, like what is top of mind for you the rest of this year where you're like, I can't fucking wait for this movie? I'm imagining Dune 3 is up there. But I don't know about Doomsday. I got to be real. I'm not a big Marvel fan, but I don't know if you're that excited.
I do like Marvel. Like I used to say I was a really big Marvel fan before these last couple of phases. Not that they don't have their great movies. I'm more excited for Spider-Man than I am Doomsday. Spider-Man is certainly in my like top couple. I just love all the Spider-Man movies, even the one like, Amazing Spider-Man 2. I would say that's the weakest one, but I still enjoy that movie. So I really look forward to that one. I'm morbidly curious about Doomsday. I don't know if it's going to be awesome or if it's going to be a gigantic mess, but of course I'll be there day one. I have seen a couple of horror films that are going to be coming out in May. Hokum I wasn't as high on, but I could see a lot of people really liking that one from Damian McCarthy. He's the guy that did Oddity. That was one of the big horror releases at South by. Obsession I've been talking about for 8 months now.
Did you see it?
I saw it at Fantastic Fest last year. It played again at South by, but I wanted to watch other films, so I didn't watch it a second time. That's probably going to be the biggest horror movie of the year. As far as horror fans are concerned, like the biggest hit, the ones that everybody's talking about, that movie's fantastic.
Okay.
So that's the one. If you want a good, solid, unnerving, creepy ass movie, Obsession was awesome. So that comes out in about a month, actually exactly a month. Then you've got Mandalorian and Grogu. Oh, wow. It's going to be fun to see that.
I think that, dude, I got to be honest, for Star Wars standards, I think that's going to bomb. I think it's going to be like Solo.
I think so too. I mean, like it seems like it should have been such an easy win, but none of the trailers have done anything for me.
5 years too late.
Yeah.
Mandalorian's not as popular as it was. When it first started, it was huge. I just finished Andor the other day, and I'd never got around to watching Andor, and holy shit, was that awesome. Like,
that's
Andor,
what everybody has said. Yeah.
Fucking awesome. It is made for people like us that grew up as Star Wars fans. Now we're adults. We're a little more, nihilistic. We're a little beaten down by life. It's very much for adults, but holy shit, dude, it was good. But that's what I'm saying. Like, if you did The Mandalorian and Grogu a couple years ago, maybe, but I just don't think it's going to make any waves. I really don't.
Well, it's got so much going against it. You got, Star Wars is not in a healthy place as far as the fan base is concerned, as far as the general audience is concerned. It's been years since they've done a movie, which is just insane. It's like, how do you fuck it up that bad? Then you have just trailers not really exciting people. Even if there was a hunger for a Mandalorian movie, like you said, it's years too late. Plus, it's the same thing as Seed of Chucky. You have 3 seasons, well, I guess 4. There's like that Boba Fett show, right?
Yep.
3.5 seasons of TV that you need to watch to be able to understand what's going on here. At least that's the perception. And so I don't know. I'll be surprised if it's a hit. I would not be surprised if ends up being, it's competing with Solo as far as, wide released Star Wars movies go. But
I think the only thing that's going to get Disney out of that right now theatrically with Star Wars is, as much as I hate to say this, it's that memberberry shit, dude. They're going to have to do, if they're going to make a Star Wars movie and they want it to make money, they're going to have to go back to episodes again or something like that, because the sequel trilogy was not very popular after The Force Awakens, but I wouldn't say critically it was, but by the fans, but they all made over $1 billion. So you do that, you're probably going to make a lot of money, but I at least appreciate, I can give them credit for wanting to be like, let's do something different. It's not all about lightsabers and Sith and Jedi. Totally get it. But this has gotten to a point where Star Wars used to feel special, and I know what I'm talking about. When I remember the hype for The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, like it was an event, and they have turned it into this giant universe now to where it doesn't feel as important anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. I'm very curious about Scary Movie. I didn't laugh at the trailer near as much as it seems some other people did, but I have faith that the Wayans brothers are going to do some good stuff. I wish Keenan was directing. That's the only thing that kind of gives me pause. It's the guy that does some of the other Wayans brothers recent movies, which I wasn't as big of a fan of, but we'll see. Going back through, I mean, a lot of the big tentpole sequels and stuff like that for the summer, I'm not really that excited about. A lot of the Disney stuff. Odyssey, very curious about that, of course. Evil Dead Burn is a July movie. And then right after,
talk to you about that.
I mean, you got a 3-week little run there that's awesome. You got the Odyssey on the 17th, Evil Dead Burn on the 24th, and then Spider-Man on the 31st. So that might be a kick-ass month of the movies.
That's going to be a healthy month of the movies for theaters. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wanted to touch on Evil Dead Burn quickly because they obviously showed us this a reel last night. I'm sure you heard about it. They, of course, like you were saying, you always hear overly positive shit. Like Like we just heard about The Mummy as well. Like everybody was like, this Evil Dead Burn trailer was fucking sick and gnarly and awesome. And I heard the same shit about Evil Dead Rise's trailer.
Mhm.
And I like Rise, but it's my least favorite Evil Dead film. And I don't think it, again, super consistent franchise. I think it's a really good movie.
Yeah.
But some of the stuff I read in this breakdown of this trailer, I was just like, how's that gonna work? I don't know how that really it's weird. They're getting away from what you and I think we're really familiar with, like with Evil Dead. Like,
Mhm.
the last time we were in an apartment building, this time sounds like what? We're in like a suburban neighborhood. Like, I'm not saying I'm against it, but it's not what I think of when I think of Evil Dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I'm probably not quite as cynical about the whole setting change, but my worry is, are we going to have anything else creative to do with these sequels that you're pumping out aside from just changing the battleground? You know what I mean? Like I dug Rise 2. It's either my least favorite or just above. I'm one of those weirdos where Evil Dead 2 is sometimes my least favorite. I know I'm very unpopular for that, but yeah, I know it's one of my hot takes. But
Evil Dead 2013 is my favorite. So
same. So I'm right there with you. We'll die on that island together.
Hell
But
yeah.
we had Evil Dead Rise, and there was good kills and there was some cool stuff in there, but the main draw for that movie is like it's getting out of the cabin in the woods. And so I know that they're doing Evil Dead Burn, and then they've already got another movie that's, I think, being shot right now that's probably going to come out next year. Like they're cranking out these movies, and Sam Raimi is like full steam ahead as far as a producer. I think Bruce is too. Hopefully he's doing good, by the way.
Yes.
But that's my concern as an Evil Dead fan, is like so many of these franchises that I used to say are like the most consistent thing in horror, slowly they're just getting knocked off the list. Like I used to say that Chucky and Scream and Evil Dead are the three most consistent franchises in horror. And then, Chucky continued to go on, and it's like, well, can't say that anymore. And then now Scream, it's like, well, can't say that anymore. And so now it's just Evil Dead as far as I'm concerned. And so I don't want it to turn into one of those turn and burn things where it's like quantity over quality. They might be fun, they might be gory, but it's like, this is the same shit with a different skin. And so that's what I'm a little bit worried about with these sequels. If it's not going to eventually incorporate Bruce Campbell, which it sounds like it's definitely not going to do that ever again. If it's not going to eventually incorporate Jane Levy's character from 2013, or like something to change up the dynamic, make it a team up movie, do something to break from the mold. And it's just, let's set it here. Let's put it in the neighborhood. Let's put it in the desert. Let's put it over here on a cruise ship. That's going to run dry for me.
It pisses me off, man. I mean, it really does piss me off. And some fans, I've gotten some pushback from people like, no, it's actually cool that Evil Dead can continue to do these like one-offs and yada, yada. And I'm like, I'm not saying it's not cool. Like, more power to them. I guess my thing is Evil Dead is one of those franchises that I feel like never knows what it has when it has it right in front of it. Like it's, you have Bruce Campbell, and sure, you milked that for all it was worth. Kudos to you. But then Mia comes around, Jane Levy's character. Awesome. Everyone loves her. Okay, we're going to not touch on her again. Then you come out with Rise and Beth. Beth is a good character. I think a lot of people liked Beth, and we started to do this MCU shit in our head where it's like, dude, Beth and Mia and fucking Ash one day, like that'd be crazy. Nope, we're going to do another side story. And it's just like, what are we doing here, man? Like I get it. I don't think everything needs to be episodic, but what is the point of introducing characters that the audience is going to love and really get behind and want to see more of, and just leaving it at that? Like, and one person told me, well, Mia lost her hand, bro. Like, okay.
So did Ash.
Exactly.
What the fuck? What kind of argument is that?
I know. I couldn't believe it when somebody said that. I'm like, that's crazy. Like, who cares? But I don't know. I mean, I'm looking forward to it, because like you said, Evil Dead is a super consistent franchise, and I hope that it stays that way. But dude, you're right. I mean, that was part of the allure, I think, back in the heyday of Evil Dead, frankly, was that it was very different from movie to movie. The first one is a straight up horror film. The second one is a dark comedy. Like the third one, we're in fucking medieval times, bro. Like and then the fourth one, it's a reset. We go back to the cabin in the woods. And so setting is not enough. I totally agree. You can't just put this in a different locale and go, this is what's different this time, because that's not enough for me to continue to keep coming to these movies. And well, I say that I'll be there, but you know what I mean. So
yeah, you always have to have that caveat when you're a horror nut like us. It's like, emotionally, I'm not going to be there, but physically I will.
Yeah.
So, did you see Infested, the spider movie?
So I did, and it was weird because I fucking hate spiders, dude. Like, it's probably, aside from like death, it's like the biggest fear I have. And everybody was like, dude, you got to watch it before Evil Dead Burn comes out. So I watched it last year. The first half of that movie, when it's like more realistic looking spiders, fucking terrifying, bro. I don't fuck with that stuff. But then in the second half of the movie, they get like cartoonishly big, and like, so it was fine to watch because it was like a sci-fi film at that point. But in watching that, I was like, yes, this guy can do Evil Dead. It's gross.
There you go. Yeah.
It's fucking gross, dude. What is it? I'm trying to remember. There's a fucking scene. Isn't there a scene where like spiders like hatch out of someone's head? I'm pretty sure.
I can't remember because I watched that movie and then that movie Stings and so close in succession, so I don't know which one it was, but that sounds accurate. What I remember, the scene that I remember, or the sequence I remember from that movie the most, is when they're in the hallway and they have all the webs and all the spiders and they have to hit the button and get to the other side quickly, and like,
dude.
I'm like, I'm done. You guys go. I'm dead. But
you don't fuck with spiders either?
Not really. Like, it's not like a death-defying fear for me, but no. Like, I'm the guy where, like, we have these big ass what are they called? I think some people call them banana spiders, other one call them something else, but they're these big, gnarly, fucking black and yellow spiders out here in the South. And they're supposedly not like dangerous, venomous, or whatever. They just kind of like, hang out or whatever, but they look gnarly. And my brother-in-law walked out into our front yard last summer, and one of them dropped on him. And it was like a fucking hand on him. And he was so calm. He's like, man, could somebody get this thing? I was like, dude, I'd have been running around like I was on fire. And so, like, I'm that level. But anyway, I was curious because, to me, I agree, the earlier part of that film, very effective. And then it kind of goes into eight-legged freaks territory. But I thought the same thing when they're like, that guy's doing Evil Dead. I'm like, I can already see it. So that's what gives me faith.
One of the scariest movies still to this day that I've ever seen is Arachnophobia. I tell people that all the time. And if you don't have any kind of fear of spiders, you just don't get it. Like, you'll be like, I don't know why that movie freaks you out. And I'm like, buddy, when I saw that movie as a child and that queen is walking up Jeff Daniels' leg, as he's just laying there in the fucking fruit cellar, like unable to move, in shock, that is like my worst nightmare. And the worst part about it is that giant ass spider, she's got a bloodlust, bro. She's taking her time. She wants to kill him. Like, it's just, I don't mess with that stuff. So I have no doubt this movie's going to be gross, but Evil Dead Rise was gross, like, that's Evil Dead at its finest. But, and I know I'm sure you've heard the rumors that, nobody's confirmed who it is, but there's rumors that, oh, hey, stick around at the end of Evil Dead Burn, there's going to be a tie-in with a fan favorite character. And everybody's like, it's Ash. It's not fucking Ash. Okay. I'm just going to tell you guys that right now. It's not fucking Ash.
Well, that narrows down the list.
Exactly. But then here's the only thing though, whether it's Beth or Mia or whoever it is that they're going to introduce at the end here, it's going to especially piss me off if that next one, Evil Dead Wrath, does not continue that in some way. If it's another side story, which is what they say it is, what the fuck is the point of ending this movie on a cliffhanger? Like, I get it. Maybe
doing that Marvel thing, man.
Yeah,
like, maybe in 6 movies, we'll pay this off.
That's what I'm saying. I could see Sam Raimi having some grand plan here. I don't doubt it. But by the way, I think you did see it. I'm pretty sure you did, and I think you liked it. I never saw Send Help.
Loved it.
Yeah, you liked it? Okay, cool.
That's either my number 1 or my number 2 movie of the year so far. I had a great time with it. I knew I would like it, but I wasn't sure. Like, I never watched a trailer or whatever. And so I was like, I don't know how Sam Raimi this is going to be. And what I loved so much about it was, in a lot of ways, it almost feels like a more mature Sam Raimi, where it's like, I'm actually trying to tell like an actual story with like real like character grounded difficulties, like, a woman who's overstepped at work and is used and abused by this fucking powerful rich dickhead and stuff. Like, very relatable shit if anybody's ever had a shithead boss. But it finds these moments to go full-blown Evil Dead Sam Raimi, that's like little surprises that never breaks the type of movie that it's in. So I had a great time with Send Help. I took my wife to go see it because just the storyline seemed like it would appeal to her, but I didn't know if the Sam Raimi style would. And she had a blast with it. There is a really nasty, gross scene that is full blown Sam Raimi camp, over the top, like body fluid stuff. And I was like, oh
Is
fuck,
this
we just lost my wife. We just lost her. And it didn't lose her. She loved it.
I keep hearing about some scene having to do with an eyeball. Is that what you're talking about?
No, there's another one.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Is
I don't
that
want to
that's
overhype it. It's not like Evil Dead level of gross, but there's just a level. There's one sequence that's bodily fluid related where it's just like, oh, if you don't fuck with that thing, if that's like one of your icks, like you're done. And I was worried that we lost my wife in that moment, but she really loved it. And then I recommended it to my parents, and they watched it, and they both loved it. So I'm like, hell yeah! It's not often
oh,
I get to
shit.
recommend a movie and everybody's in unison. Usually everybody's like, the fuck, man, like Together. I took my wife to go see Together for our anniversary last year. It was that or SpongeBob. And so I let her choose. No, it was that or Naked Gun or SpongeBob. So I let her
Okay.
choose. And she was like, we'll go see that thing. And I'm like, okay, cool. I told her the basic idea. And she was dead silent the entire movie. And I'm telling you, dude, when you get to the end, I'm not going to say what the end is, but you know, when you hear that character say hi, and then the movie closes with the credits, my wife literally
Yeah.
turned to me and she goes, Cody, what the fuck was that? And I was like, yes.
Yes. No, dude. In my theater,
Yeah.
people like exclaimed, like people like laughed, and like there was literally a dude that was like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
Like that was a wild ass ending. But honestly, dude, in hindsight, I think all of us should have seen that coming. Literally, all of us should, and we didn't. But
I saw some form of it coming. I'll be honest with you. I didn't love the final note. My brain went into a much sicker way after. I'm not going to talk about it here because you'll get demonetized. But after we get off, if you remind me, I'll tell you what I thought was going to happen. But yeah, it was like, it was funny to me that I wasn't sure how she was vibing with that movie at all, and then she let me know immediately when the credits rolled. She's like, "You fucking said this was one of the best movies of the year, son of a bitch."
wait, but did she overall like it?
I think she liked it for the most part. She was creeped out or whatever, but it's just not her type of thing. You know, horror is extreme hit or miss with her. She's not like me at all. But it was the most gratifying like level of disgust where I'm just like, yes, that makes me like it more.
Yeah, you're validated there. There is something like I'm not trying to get too far off a horror tangent. We'll wrap up here shortly, but I do want to just say I'm pretty sure you're in agreement with me here. So fucking happy that cameras are about to start rolling on the Batman Part 2 because this feels like the longest wait in history.
Dude, play that fucking Santa Claus meme where it's like him turning gray. Yeah, it's yeah. That is a movie that I'm pretty sure it is the only brand new release that I walked out and I gave it a 5 out of 5. That's how much I love the Batman, and I've only loved it more the more that I've rewatched it. I get people, you know, they love the Nolan movies or they have issues with the third act or whatever. To me, that is my Batman movie. That was written for me. That was like gift wrapped from Matt Reeves. And so I've been salivating ever since. And yeah, like you, like it felt grim for a while where it was almost like that Saw X thing where it's like, are we going to get the sequel? I don't know. It seems like we should, but you know, James Gunn came in and people were saying he was going to, you know, cancel it to do his thing. He says he wasn't. And then Matt Reeves, I guess, is just notoriously takes a long time with his scripts, which I'm fine as long as it's awesome. And then, yeah, now that we're finally going to have something tangible, it's like, oh, thank God, because I need that in my veins soon.
Now that you have Pattinson saying, I'm pretty sure they said it's going to start shooting next month, I believe. And Pattinson has been like getting into the role again and training and whatnot. So it's like this is about to happen. Like this is really, really cool. I'm really excited, man. I got to tell you the truth. I was one of those people for the longest time that was like, you can't touch The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight is The Dark Knight. And the first time I watched the Batman in theaters, actually one of the only times in my life I've actually exclaimed at somebody in the movie theater. There was a group of teenagers in front of us, just they would not shut the fuck up. And we were about 20 minutes into the movie, and I literally said, can you shut the fuck up? And my ex-wife was like, come on, no. And I'm like, I'm not playing with this. Is fucking Batman, bro. Like, but I walked out of that movie and I was like wrestling with myself. Like, is that better than The Dark Knight? Like, I feel like if I say that, I'm gonna get so much shit. And then I watched it again and I'm like, yeah, that's the best Batman movie. Like, I don't even know how somebody could say otherwise. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of Batman 89 fans, a lot of Batman 89 fans, but yeah, that's my Batman. And if I have one word of advice, can we like start writing part 3 now or while you're shooting it? Like,
Yeah,
so we don't
exactly.
have to wait as long.
Yeah, on lunch, just add a couple of paragraphs.
Yeah, but I tell you what, that would have been the one thing to really turn me away from Gunn's DCU if they would have canned this. Like, I would have been like, okay, I don't give a fuck what you're doing, buddy. Like, you know, it already pissed a lot of people off that they moved off of Snyder and everything like that, the Snyderverse. And I understand why. I love Man of Steel. Batman v Superman is a frustrating experience for me, like every time I watch it. But there was a lot of good shit with his universe. So I was bummed that Henry Cavill was done as Superman, but I was like, you keep Pattinson's Batman, we're all right. Yep. And it got hairy for a minute there while I was like, oh shit, like, oh no, but I'm glad it's about to happen.
I'm right there with you, man. I'm a big James Gunn fan, and I had total faith as much as like you. I love Man of Steel, and I was really like not toxically like a lot of people on the internet, but like I was really upset and frustrated at how they treated Henry Cavill, where it was just like, can you give this guy a fucking straight answer? And as soon as they did, they're like, never mind. You know, like it was like a week after Black Adam came out, and I thought that movie wasn't very good, so I guess that softened the blow. But it's like, yeah, you're back, bro. And then a week later, they're like, no, never mind. We're starting from scratch. That's so fucked up. But nonetheless, I'm with you. Whenever it was like there was even a scent in the air of maybe this isn't going to happen because we're going to do our own thing with Andy Muschietti, I was like, you fucking do that. I'm telling you right now, you're going to lose one of your bigger supporters. Oh, but yeah, I'm with you, man. Like I really like the Nolan movies. I actually, Batman Begins is my favorite of his 3. And it'll make sense when I say why the Batman is so much better for me. For all the great things that his trilogy does, to me, after Batman Begins, it becomes the villains movies. Yep. And Batman's just kind of there as a supplementary character to the villains. You know, Joker in 2 and then Bane in the 3rd one. And that always frustrated me. And even though you got moments, I was always like, when are we going to get a Detective Batman movie? Like, that's the one element you guys have never figured out how to do right. And so then you get this movie, and of course, like most people, I adore David Fincher's 7. If you're going to copy a little bit of a movie, that's a good one to copy off of. And so the fact that you get a Batman movie where it's full on Detective Batman, it's not a straight up like, let's just bring the Joker in as soon as possible, even though he's technically in there somewhere. The fact that it is a Batman centric film, and it's more so about him like taking on these little mobsters, and Riddler's just kind of out there doing the thing, but it never feels like it's Riddler's movie now. And they do a really cool origin without having to go through the origin again. Year 2 Batman or whatever. To me, it's like, if you nail all of that, then I'm with you. And there was nothing about that movie I didn't like. I've heard people say the 3rd act goes on too long and it feels like it's got 2 endings and, you know, whatever. I've heard all the complaints, and to me, I'm like, well, I get it, but I don't get it because like it all works for me. It's all awesome. I love the whole thing of that entire movie where you get early Batman, where he's just out there to fuck people up. He's not trying to be a hero. He's not trying to be Gotham's, you know, Dark Knight. He's just out there to fuck people up. And by the end of the movie, he realizes, like, I'm a symbol of hope for these people. I can do better. I need to do better.
Dude, Cody, wouldn't you do the same thing if you were a billionaire? I fucking would. I'd give myself a sick ass suit and tech. I'd be out there fighting crime myself just for fun. Like, no, it's awesome, dude. And you know, I think it's safe to say, you know, that one came like right at the tail end of COVID when things started to open up again. So that definitely hampered the box office a little bit, though it still made like right around 800 million. I think it's safe to say this is going to be $1 billion. This is going to be $1 billion movie. And
it's all going to be about the trailer, because I'll tell you what sold The Dark Knight is that teaser where it's just like the blue Batman symbol, and you just hear the voices, and then you don't even see him. You just hear Heath Ledger for the first time. I'm a man of my word. And then he has that little, as soon as that teaser came out, it's like, this is making $1 billion.
Oh yeah. 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 And that movie was, dude, I'm someone that I can totally get why you prefer Batman Begins, because you're absolutely right. It did become more focused on the villains in the next two films, but I think all three of them, even so many people shit on The Dark Knight Rises. I like that movie. I think that's a good
Solid.
movie. Yeah.
Easily the weakest. It's the only movie that Nolan has ever done where it feels like there's a lot of spotty writing, where there's a lot of conveniences. We're gonna punch Batman in the back and let him hang for a couple of days, and his broken back will be fine. Stuff like that. But I'll tell you my biggest issue that I get hung up on with The Dark Knight, and every time I bring it up, it's so clearly when you're talking to a fanboy, because it's like, no, whatever, there's no problems. The ending of that movie doesn't work for me. The whole thing about Two-Face killed all these people, but we can't let Harvey Dent's image be tainted or the city's going to burn. So Batman, I have to take the fall for it. Every time I get to that point, I'm like, can't you just blame the Joker?
Yeah.
Can't you just blame the Joker people? They're taking over the whole fucking city and doing chaos. Is it really that hard of a sell? Why does it have to be you? I always get hung up on that. I understand thematically what they're doing, but to me, it's like, there's a big question mark here that never makes sense. And so every time he gets to that point where he's like, I killed those people, I'm like, you dumb fuck. No, you didn't.
Yeah. And furthermore, too, it's like nobody even knew about
and no one saw
Harvey Dent turning into Two-Face. So everybody was aware of the Joker. The motherfucker was live streaming on the news of killing people. Like, yeah, you could have just easily said these were victims of the Joker. It didn't need to be anything else. But yeah, you're right. I mean, thematically, I get what they're going for there. Sure, great, awesome. But like narratively, you didn't need to do that. Like you didn't need to. Nolan, it's funny because I actually was going through his filmography not long ago, rewatching a bunch of his movies. I didn't watch the Batman movies because I'm in this weird position right now where it's like I'm not watching Batman again until the fucking Batman Part 2. Like I'm not doing it. Except the Batman. I'll watch that again. But he, as great of a filmmaker as he is, and he is his own worst enemy sometimes. Like, and that's one of those examples. That's a good call out there. It never worked for me, even when I didn't read into it that much. I never liked the ending at all of The Dark Knight. I felt like it was really abrupt. I felt like it was almost kind of clumsy. Like, I don't know. It's like a coda. Like, we've got to do this for X reasons. But yeah, I mean, some of his movies, the one I still haven't seen, and I don't know if you would recommend it. A lot of people recommend it, though I know this is one of his most polarizing, is Tenet. I haven't seen it, but I love Robert Pattinson.
I mean, is it worth watching? Yes, I would encourage you to watch it. It's not one of my favorites. It's a movie that is very convoluted. It's a cool concept, but like the whole movie, there's things happening where you're like, what I'm looking at's cool as fuck, but I don't understand it. And so it's just that's a movie where it almost felt like he got a little self-indulgent. And the only people I ever really hear defend it with their whole chest are like diehard Nolan fans, where he can't do any wrong, where everybody else that I talk to is either casual people where they're like, I don't know what the fuck was happening in that movie, or Nolan fans that, are self-aware where they're like it's not Inception. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's I watched that movie twice in theaters before I reviewed it, because it was one of those times where you go see something and then you're like,
I gotta see that again.
I can't just turn the camera on after that. I got to go try this again. It's also, which I don't know if it's going to be better or worse whenever you watch it at home, because he's got called out for this like the last 3 movies. In the theater, a lot of the dialogue was so low where it was just like, I have to hear the dialogue to know what the fuck is going on in this movie with this crazy shit, and I can't hear a third of it.
Yeah, I'm one of those. I have weird Nolan takes, man. I think the majority opinion held by most Nolan fanboys is that Interstellar or The Dark Knight are unequivocally his best films. For me, ever since the first time I saw it, as Oppenheimer. That's my favorite Nolan film. I am a history buff, though. I mean, that's what I'm going to school for. So, like, that is my wheelhouse. But that was also really different for Nolan because, like, sure, they really, in the marketing, played up the Trinity test sequence. Like, that was like, oh yeah, this is the IMAX moment you're gonna want to see. It's the only fucking IMAX moment in the entire movie. The rest of it is very much procedural and historical drama. But I got to be honest with you, man. Interstellar's great, but I don't think it's on the level of his truly best films.
with a different ending, it could have, but I'm one of those people. As soon as you got Matthew McConaughey floating around in the library, it loses a lot for me. Everything before that, I think, is amazing.
Yeah.
So that movie, I get why people are so diehard about it because it is truly great, but that ending never quite works for me. And I always get hung up too. Like I get so hung up when it comes to like husband wife shit or father and kids shit. Like when you get to the end and it's all about the dog, I'm like, do you give a fuck about your son?
I know.
Like you know what I mean? It always bugs
Yeah.
me. It's a little tiny thing where it's like I get it, you're trying to focus on their relationship, but you know, it's almost like the Scream 7 going all the way back to Halloween 2018 and shit, Laurie's daughter said the same exact or did the same exact thing where it's like fuck the husband. Don't care. Whatever.
Yeah.
Not gonna check up on him, not gonna ask where he's been for the last 14 hours, haven't heard from him. I just get so annoyed with that where I'm like,
no, and
you better
Lori,
fucking call me.
Lori fucking finds Ray in the closet too, and it's like a half a second reaction, not even a reaction really, and then she's like, "All right, anyway, on to the next thing." It's like nobody gave a shit about Ray.
Yeah, Scary Movie needs to. Scary Movie 6 needs to riff on that, where like they like shove him out of the way to like get what's behind him or something like that.
Yeah, because they basically do that in fucking 2018. But no, it's funny. After Interstellar, I actually watched a movie the next day. Because I was on this space kick. Sometimes I get on kicks like that. And I was like, I never saw The Martian with Matt Damon. So I watched that the next day. Dude, I thought that was leagues better than Interstellar. I mean, there's nothing about that movie
Interstellar too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fantastic movie. And like, there was even I'm man enough to say, I got a little in my feels at the moment where he is about to like take off and try to intercept them to finally get off Mars. And he just kind of loses it. Like, because he's like, holy shit, like, I'm actually about to be rescued. Like that was like, because I feel like we as humans, we put ourselves in that position. Like, dude, if I got stuck on Mars, I'm fucked. I do not have the brain power to do this.
I'm not making shit potatoes.
No, absolutely not. And so like, but it's also, I just thought that movie was fantastic. Now, but again, in the trailers, they're going to show you, the big space sequences and stuff, but that is a very slow movie. Like that is a very much a movie that is about, just a fight for survival, but not with really anything happening. I mean, it's just, I don't know, dude. Shout out to the people, Artemis 2 as well. That shit's so cool, going to space. I wouldn't have the balls for that. I don't know about you. I couldn't do it.
No, never had an interest. There was 2 things I wrote off the list immediately as a kid. I'm not going to be a doctor and I'm not going to be an astronaut.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you achieved both of those.
Yes.
Because fuck that. But yeah, man. Look, I feel like we covered a wide range of topics, Chucky, Evil Dead, movies coming out this year, Scream 7. I hope all of you guys listening got your money's worth, like I know a lot of you wanted to hear us just kind of talk about shit. And I feel like we did that. We also talked about the Batman because come on, Matt Reeves, like let's get to, by the way, that's still slated to come out next October, right? I don't think that date has changed.
Let me double check, but yeah, I believe so.
And
I mean, that's perceivable. If they get it in front of cameras, they'll probably shoot for 3 months. And let's see here. Oh, the Batman film sequel scheduled October 1st, 2027. That didn't happen. Oh, never mind. 2026, dude. It's been a long day. Yes, October 1st, 2027 is when it is currently slated to be released. So
you know what that means, right? Best case scenario, we get around Christmas time a fucking teaser. And if we don't get it around Christmas, which I feel like you have to do it around Christmas, but if you don't, because I know a movie playing around that time, Avengers Doomsday, that would be perfect to put it in front of. Although I don't know if Marvel would work with them, but whatever. That there's gonna be a Super Bowl spot for that thing too. Oh, bro, I can't even wait. Like, my only hope is please don't make the Joker the main villain. Like, please.
It doesn't seem like they're going to. And honestly, like, look, as much faith as I have in Matt Reeves, and as much as I'll say there's nothing about the Batman I didn't like, I do hope they retool whatever that direction they were going with the Joker. Like, you watch the extended scene too, which I'm sure you've seen, where they're actually like having that back and forth, and I'm like, it's not quite Jared Leto level, but that's too much. Joker's better subtle. I don't know what this face deformity thing you're doing, but it's not going to work for most people. So I hope they retool that, but it sounds like, I mean, we've got the casting of Harvey Dent, and I love the casting, right? Sebastian Stan. Yep. And then I guess Scarlett Johansson's playing his wife or something like that, which I don't even know what that character is, but cool.
I don't care. Scarlett. I love ScarJo. Yeah. Put her in it.
I'm with you.
By the way, shout out Mike Flanagan. Cannot fucking wait for The Exorcist. That just wrapped. So fucking stoked for that movie.
We'll see, man. Well, he's the only one that can do it.
I was gonna say it's Flanagan. Like,
yeah. I feel like they're not showing their cards with the Batman. Like, I know we're getting some of these classic Batman characters, and Lord knows they're probably going to have acid thrown on his face by the end of the movie for the next one. But I feel like they're keeping the main villain close to the chest. I don't know if it's going to be Court of Owls. I don't know if it's going to be Hush. They teased Hush in the last one very subtly. That's always the biggest thing that like gives you the little bit of the boner of a Batman fan. It's like, who's the villain?
Oh yeah.
I mean, tell me.
Dude, I've been doing mental gymnastics going like, what if it's not going to happen in this movie, but like, I want to see Matt Reeves give me a grounded take on Mr. Freeze. And some of you guys are going to fucking laugh, but if anyone can do it, it's Matt Reeves, because he took the fucking Riddler and made him a serious character. So
yeah, I can see like a serial killer walking around with like I almost think of like is it Sugar from No Country for Old Men, where he's got the tank, only it's liquid nitrogen, and he's like killing people. Anyway, I'll tell you the villain that I most want to see, and it feels like Matt Reeves is the guy who could do it awesomely, is Hugo Strange. And I feel like it makes sense at some point. Like if, you have the Batman who's kind of early doing shit in the first film, if this film, the events of it, where it's like now Batman's going to become Gotham's hero, I think it would make sense for the third film to have somebody grounded in that universe being like, I can psychologically profile who the fuck this dude is.
Yeah. I got to be honest with you too, though, dude. Like it honestly disappoints me that they've already set this as like, this is a trilogy, and then it's done, and then the DC's Batman will continue on, because like I hate when you do that. Like, I don't know if that should have been the plan. I understand if Gunn is like, I don't know if we can have these two Batman exist at the same time. Like, I get that. But like these movies, this trilogy is going to be a multi-billion-dollar trilogy. It's going to be critically acclaimed. Like, part of me is like, why not just allow it to, if Matt Reeves has more to say, if Pattinson wants to stay in the role, why does it have to be over at 3? Like, I don't know if you were with me on that. I hate when they set like, we're only doing this, and then once we reach this, it's done. I don't like that.
I haven't read them say that, but I'll take you for your word. I'm in the middle on it. I think sometimes it's nice to have the end in sight. I always use Breaking Bad as my example, where it's like that show knew where it was going to end, and it didn't matter that every single season, especially the final one, was the biggest ratings ever. They're like, we're done. I don't give a shit. We're not doing season 6 to do all this other stuff, or to make higher ratings. I think sometimes having an end in sight and having a finite story has its value. I also know that typically with filmmakers, especially like, storytellers like Matt Reeves, I think they don't want to commit to them more than that, because they want to go do other things. And oftentimes, unfortunately, you do see people that get stuck on a property where the quality starts to slip. Spider-Man 3, Dark Knight Rises, whatever it is, it always feels like they get creatively exhausted. So
in Spider-Man 3's defense, though, that was, that's totally Sony. Raimi was cool to keep going, and he wanted Sandman to not come in, or he didn't want Venom to come in until 4, and they were like, no, put it all in this fucking movie. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It usually does. You start to see it peter out a little bit.
Yeah, and so I think to me it's going to depend. Like, if we see the second one, obviously, even if it's great, we're going to be walking out just rabidly hungry for the third one. And if the third one actually has like a good close to the story, and without killing them off or doing something where it's like we're absolutely tying everything up where we can't come back to this, who knows? You know what I mean? I mean, there's still a way, if they really wanted to, they could come back and do a fourth Nolan one. They're never going to.
Yeah,
but they left just enough. Yeah, they left just enough opened. Yeah, exactly. Fourth Rain. I mean, you never know. You never know what's going to happen. So I don't think they did it, or they said that to serve whatever this Brave and the Bold version of Batman is going to be. I think it was just like, they're telling a finite story. They know, I mean, if we get this in 2027, what's it going to be, 2032, 2033 before we get the third one?
Don't even put that evil out in the world.
Yeah. Now. I mean, so I think by that point, they'll have probably 2 of these Muschietti movies out, and who knows? So
yeah, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going into Muschietti's Batman optimistic, and and I hate to say that, it's not fair to do to Muschietti or to the DCU, frankly, but like I think the apex of Batman was the Batman, and I feel like you cast Batman perfectly, you got Gotham perfect. Like I was like, this is fucking Batman. So I don't think anything they can do after this. It doesn't mean it can't be good, but I don't know. I was that way with Spider-Man as well. I'll be honest with you. Grew up with Toby, obviously, like you did. I was a teenager with Garfield, so I really loved. That's my favorite Spider-Man is Andrew Garfield. But my favorite Spider-Man movie is Spider-Man 2. I think that's easily the peak. So I didn't really give Tom Holland a chance because I was kind of like, at that point, I was an adult, and I was like, you're not my Spider-Man. No Way Home, he won me over. But I think it's because I felt like I was allowed to. You know what I mean? Like it felt like Toby and Andrew were speaking for me in that movie. Like, hey, man, you're one of us. And I was like, you know what? You're one of us. Okay. But so I don't know. Also, I just don't know if Muschietti's the guy for that, man. Like,
my only worry with him is the CGI.
yes,
I think he's a fantastic storyteller. I think he's a really good director, but in every single movie that he has ever made, the biggest negative for me is that his CGI, whatever company he goes with or his eye, whatever's going on, it's awful. That's the biggest issue with the It movie for me. The first one, anyway. The second one's got other problems. But the first one, I was just like, why does he look like a CGI PS2 character? Like it just doesn't work. And then you go into the Flash, and then he comes out and he's like, well, that was a creative choice. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. No.
Yeah, go back and watch Mama.
Yeah, Mama. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Where it's just like clearly it's something to do with either who he collaborates with or his eye for it in the final edit. There's something there where when he thinks it's okay enough, most people are looking at it going, no, dude, go back to the drawing board and re-render. That's my biggest concern for Batman. My optimism for it, because like you, I'm like, I really only need the Batman. I don't need a second one. It might be too much. But what could be cool is that we have the Matt Reeves verse, which is very grounded, and we're only going to get the grounded versions of these villains or the grounded types of villains. I think there's a benefit to having the other one that's in the Superman verse where you can get all the crazy shit. So you can get the, full-on melty Clayface. You can get Man Bat and all this other stuff. That's what I was optimistic about with Batman Ben Affleck going on whenever they were talking about, or maybe I'm misremembering. No, it's when the Batman came out and they were talking about the James Gunn verse. It's like, well, we can have room for both if they're totally different. And you got the Bat family. So you got Robin and all that shit over here.
Yep.
But it all depends on exexecution. If the CGI is terrible, I'm just going to be like, okay.
Yeah. No,
Matt Reeves, come back.
and I got to be honest with you, dude. I'm stoked for Clayface. I think that is going to be so cool to see like an R-rated horror-esque DC movie like that. That is up my alley. I really dug Superman, but I really think the easiest fix here, honestly, was like if Gunn would have just gone a little bit more serious with Superman, you could have eventually merged Reeves' Batman with him. But Gunn he wanted more comic book accurate. I get it. But like then you wouldn't have ever even had to recast Batman. But I don't know. That's above my pay grade. So I
am 1000% against Matt Reeves' Batman commingling with any Superman.
To me, at this point, 100%. Like I liked Superman, but after watching that movie, I was like, there is no fucking way Matt Reeves' Batman fits in that universe at all. Awesome. I feel like we covered a lot. Sorry, I unplugged my headphones there for a second. So everybody that's watching, man, obviously, I don't need to tell you guys who Cody is. He's one of the bigger horror YouTubers here on YouTube. I mean, if you know horror on YouTube, you know Cody Leach. So, Cody, what do you have coming up? I would assume you're going to have a review for The Mummy soon, right?
Yeah, so today over on my gaming channel, so Cody Leach Game Chamber is my gaming channel. I'm not nearly as active over there, but I'm trying to ramp that up a bit this year. I released another Resident Evil ranking. I've been whoring out on Resident Evil for like 2.5 months now. So I ranked all of the locations for all the games, and then I dropped the short version of that on TikTok and everything. So that's there for you to watch. Lee Cronin's The Mummy will be Friday's video, and then either Sunday, Monday, depending on how busy I get, I'm going to do that Blumhouse tier list, which will include The Mummy. I don't know how many movies are going to be on that list because I know Blumhouse has got their hands on a lot of different things people don't realize are theirs, but that'll be a nice video. And beyond that, I think next week we've got Over Your Dead Bodies coming out. So I will do a review for that at some point off my memory from South by. And then we got the Michael Jackson movie, which is going to take over the fucking world for a little while. The early screening on Wednesday, I checked 2 weeks ago as soon as it was up, and it was already almost sold out. So that movie's going to do, if it gets really well rated, I have said this, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for that to come close to 2 billion.
Wow. So I remember when they announced this, the word was, people were like, this is going to be bigger than Bohemian Rhapsody. Like, this is
for sure.
Yeah, people don't understand, man. If you didn't grow up in that era, and I really didn't, I caught the tail end of it, but my mom, huge Michael Jackson fan, that guy was bigger. I mean, in our lifetimes, we've seen artists that, take over the world in their own way. Taylor Swift, Justin Bieber, like, he was bigger than all of them. Like, everybody knew Michael Jackson. So I'm actually looking forward to that myself as well. But yeah, I will put the link to your gaming channel down there as well. And then real quick before we go, since you mentioned it, I'm assuming you're pretty excited for Kreger's Resident Evil film.
Oh yeah. Like I've had pause, just like all Resident Evil fans, when he said, I'm doing my own thing. It's not really going to follow the games. I'm like, fucking hell again. But he's the one guy that I would trust with it. Like, literally, it's not even like me kissing his ass, but like, after Barbarian and Weapons, if somebody came to me and said, who's like a current horror director you'd want to take a stab, I would have said him. And the more that he talks about it, of trying to recreate the experience of the video game, where you're following a sole character that's slowly descending into this crazy situation. I've heard some things say that it's taking place like alongside the events of 2 and 3 with the Raccoon City outbreak or whatever, like it's in Raccoon City. There's a version of that could be amazing. And I use Resident Evil 7 as my example, the video game, because that really like reset the franchise and put it back on the map. And there's almost no connective tissue in that game to the overall lore of Umbrella or Raccoon City or anything. It's like this much of it. It's totally its own thing. If he can do that in a movie, we got one hell of a treat. And since it's been released on CinemaCon, I guess it's not really something I can something I need to hold too close to the chest. Through a series of events, I got to actually watch the Resident Evil trailer when I was at South by Southwest, and I liked what I saw.
Okay, hell yeah. And then, so I got to ask you, best Resident Evil film, what is it?
Apocalypse.
Okay, I'm an Extinction guy, but
okay,
those first 3 I think are all varying levels of very good to great. But man, after that, did it fall the fuck off?
Yeah, I still have fun with that franchise all the way up through the 4th one, Afterlife. But it's the 5th one and the 6th one especially where it's like, what the fuck happened here, man? And I was much higher on it when I saw it in theaters. I rewatched it about a month ago, and my rating has dropped pretty significantly, but I still really like Welcome to Raccoon City.
I was surprised by that one. Yeah, I thought it was decent.
It's just like the Five Nights at Freddy's movies. It really lives or dies based off of how much charm you get out of all the Easter eggs and the call outs. Narratively, it's kind of a mess, and I wish they didn't try to do 2 movies in one, but for all of its faults, I still like that one. So that one would be in my top 3.
Okay, fair. Yeah, when I went back and rewatched those movies like 2 years ago, I remember in retribution going, "Oh, cool. It's Leon, and it was Jill, right? Yeah, Jill." And like, oh, there's all these great characters that I remember from the video games. And then I was like, this is like a greatest hits. But then at the same time, I was like, but it's not good. It was this weird thing where it's like you're doing all this fan service, but it's really shittily done. And then the final chapter is just like a fucking monster, like kaiju movie. I mean, it's just, I don't even know what the fuck we're in anymore. Wesker, and they're at the White House. It's fucking stupid, man. Like, it's
one of the worst edited movies I've ever seen. Like, just watch one isolated action sequence, and it's just Alice shooting at something, but it's like 75 cuts, and you can't tell what the hell's going on. And what's funny is you watch Retribution, and I agree with you. Like, there was something about like the domes where they're like recreating things from the other movies that could have been cool. But yeah, like, I'm a Leon guy, and I'm like, that's not Leon. Why the fuck is he here? You get to the end of that movie, and they tease such an awesome finale where they're all on top of the White House, and like villains, heroes alike, and they're looking out, and the world is just fucked. And then you get to final chapter, and it's like, never mind.
Yeah,
we're not doing that.
I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, I don't know why that needs to be studied. How hard that fell off. Because the first three, I think, was a really good trilogy. It's a solid trilogy, and yeah, man, the 3D and everything. I think that's when it all started to go downhill. They cared more about, wow, dude, look at this slow motion bullet and sword and shit, and it's like, yeah, but this is just dog shit. The casting for Wesker was good though. I'll always give him credit for that. But all right, cool, man. Well, look, it's always fun talking to you. I know the audience was looking forward to it as well, and so again, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking about all these things. I try not to ask you too often because this is your job, and you dedicate a lot of time and energy to it. So every few months, I like to circle back around and say, "Hey, you want to come bullshit?" So yeah, it was awesome having you on here, man. Thank you.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it. I had a good time. So don't ever fret to invite me. I always enjoy myself.
Well, good. As long as I haven't scared you away yet, that's awesome.
No.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like on here and comment down below anything that we talked about that you want to give thoughts on, unless you're talking shit about the Batman. You're not allowed to do that. But anything else, totally fine. So again, guys, if you haven't checked out Cody's channel, obviously you have, but subscribe to him or his gaming channel as well. I'm going to put that down in the comment section because I didn't even know that existed until he just told me that. So again, thank you, and we'll catch you guys next time.